Hey, we're live, everybody! And then slowly people will start filtering in because nobody's really watching it right at this moment because nobody bothered mentioning to anyone that we were live until, like, now. So, Jeremy, good to see you, buddy.
What's up, brother?
Yeah, not much, not much. It is Wednesday night, of course. And how are you, Major Malfunction?
I'm doing acceptable, I suppose.
I am trying to get Mechanicism to so people would start using that instead, but it's getting tough. So, but I use it in all my videos now.
Have you been using it in videos?
Yeah.
I
So
guess I should pretend I knew that.
yeah, you should pretend
A
you knew
good friend
that.
would have pretended he watched your videos.
That's fine.
I haven't been watching any videos though, so that's on me.
So it isn't just your hatred of myself.
I
It's
don't hate you at all. I just
okay.
haven't been watching anything lately.
I was hoping Scott Alden will be on later because I want to talk to him about the. I
Kickstarter?
want. Yeah, I want to talk to him about the Kickstarter and what he expects to accomplish with that. But I don't
I'm
know.
only speculating, but it seems like a good way to make people that vote in polls put up or shut up, in my opinion.
True. Um, it's one of those things where it's interesting. The feedback people gave on it were like really ridiculous. I mean, like the people that were against it were just kind of like it didn't really make sense. They're like kind of weird hostility about it. I don't know. Did you back it? I mean, would there be any chance you'd go?
I can't go.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about it. It's one of those things where I'd go if I could get like a couple. If I knew there were going to be like, 3 or 4 people there.
Yeah, but I can't ditch my family for an extra 4 days. That's just
That's it. I mean, it is true. That's a long time to be anywhere. I mean, it's just and I'll say this. I mean, the whole process of the whole of it, definitely. BGCon was really good. I mean, it was nice, and it was fun to be there and everything like that. And it was like, even though I started getting that feeling of, man, I just really, you know, um, like I'm lonely for my kids and that kind of thing. Even though I started feeling like that again, um, it was one of those things where it wasn't as bad for BGCon. I don't know what it was. It was just kind of like you just. I think it was because it's all. It feels like you're in college almost. I've mentioned that a few times. It's like you're all in your like dorm rooms upstairs, and then you're just like you're heading down to like eat and play games, and then
Gen Con is stressful. BGG Con has no stress at all.
I mean,
Really?
yeah. I mean, BGCon is like there's no feeling of that you need to rush to get a game at all because yeah, vendors are there, but last year when it was my first BGCon, and I forget who it was, I can't forget the vendor, but it was a thing where all of a sudden, like one of the vendors just got like sick of selling stuff, and he just closed up, and he said, "If you want to buy my game, I'll be in like the hot games room, and track me down, and I'll sell you one." It was just like, screw this. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna man my booth anymore. I'd rather go and drink beer and play board games with people, and that's what
So
they
be
did.
it.
Yeah, so be it. And it was like, and you just couldn't do that at Gen Con. I mean, it would just be like,
No, you get robbed blind for one.
what? Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, it was totally like one of those things where it was just, yeah, it wouldn't happen otherwise. I don't know. It was. I don't know. I'm looking forward to BGGCon, very much so. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and it'll be enjoyable. Sounds like I don't think I'm going to Grand Con next month. That's like maybe my first Grand Con I haven't attended. I should say attended.
Where's
In a
that one?
while. That's in Grand
Rapids,
Grand
Michigan?
Rapids, Michigan. Yeah, I won't be going to that one. I
That's
don't
not the
know.
one that Brian does, is it?
Yeah, Brian Lenz. Yeah.
Yeah, that's his.
Why are you going?
I thought about it.
It's a fun little con.
Mm-hmm.
It is it it's like, and there's enough presence there of other things that it makes it interesting or whatever to be there. It it has some decent restaurants and stuff nearby. So there's like definitely like a little bit of a outside of it, and it's really big. I mean, it's surprisingly large. Like
Mm-hmm.
the location they have. Not the best place for open gaming, I guess. Maybe. I mean, they're a little limited there, but they have lots of different events and lots of different things going on all the time, and they have a pretty good library. For if you want to play games, they have a pretty good library if you want to play stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're looking for like tons of like new vendors and stuff like that, I mean, I'd have to look at the website and see who they got going this time. But I mean, I know TMG will be there.
Who's doing the booth there for you guys?
I'm. You know what? I might end up having to go for that reason.
Mm.
I got invited to be part of a con down in Florida, but that looks like it might be falling through now. I don't know what's going on with that. So theoretically, I might end up getting dragged, and I'd be running the booth probably. Well, I wouldn't be running it. I'd be doing it with Daniel most likely.
So Daniel will be in the booth while you're running around talking to everybody?
Shut up.
I'm sorry I moved that.
Hey, I'll state that like when I told at Gen Con I told Michael, I said I feel really bad because I'm not at the booth, and he said he's like, part of the reason, one of your job functions, he said, when I hired you, if you remember correctly, was running around and hanging out with people at conventions and just like just being like the face for the company kind of thing.
Yeah, how many times did you and I hang out at the convention at Gen Con?
We ran into each other like twice.
Yeah, no, that was crazy.
Gen Con was weird. It was just, there was a lot of different stuff going on. John Gilmore will be there, it looks like. Let's see here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the guest list now.
Yeah. So it looks like
I need to like fix this or what?
yeah, the Capples will be there. They're good. They're good souls. And Mike Fitzgerald is kind of a, I might just end up going to this. Well, no, because last time I went, I ended up like hanging out with Richard Lanius for a while, and he and I just played games together, and that was, yeah, totally. And then I ended up hanging out with both him and Fitzgerald, and playtesting a bunch of Mike Fitzgerald stuff, and that was just kind of like nerdvana for me, just like, oh, hey, how's it going,
There could be worse things.
There definitely were worse. There could be worse things. Let me see. Who are the vendors that are going to own this year? Yep, TMG. And plus Chris Leader will be there. And Chris Leader is a riot.
I tell you what, first time I ever played the game Sheriff of Nottingham was with Chris Leader, and I think I fell into that game because of playing that with Chris.
Yeah, he makes it
so much fun. And I've played it with him multiple times, and Chris he's a fun designer, but there's nobody I would almost rather play a game with if it's a crazy game at all, because that guy is fun.
Yeah, he makes it happen. It's
leaders, good people.
And he's absolutely hilarious. He's one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet in your life, and it's too bad he's such a tortured soul. I'm joking. He's not a tortured soul, but
too bad he designs horrible games. I mean,
yeah, well, basically Yahtzee with cards, right? Just say that to him.
And see, I like City of Gears, and I'm looking forward to when that actually does see the light of day, since it got dropped from Dice Towers Essentials. So.
Yeah, City Gears is fun. We have a high-level prototype that we're kicking around, so I don't know what's going to happen with that or not. I think it would be really awesome if we decide to publish it, but we'll see what happens.
It would be awesome if someone would, because it's a unique little game. So.
Jim Felly decided he'd rather hang out with his lovely wife than us. What a jerk.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I really wanted him to be on because I wanted to talk. I wanted to talk No Man's Sky with him and see if he still what he thinks now after a little bit of time has passed.
Sell us on it.
Well, I'm gonna say flat out that I'm not disappointed that I bought it. I don't because I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna end up. You're probably gonna end up thinking that I hate it, which I don't. But
sounds like a glowing review so far.
No. So okay. Well, here's the deal. I remember when there was this the collector's edition, which is of course what I got because I'm a sucker for those things. I always end up paying the extra $20 to get whatever the silly
a
box.
statue that's going to sit on your shelf and eventually be thrown away.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I've been there, done that.
Yeah,
I have a
totally.
pit boy.
Well, like I said, I think I might have said this on the show a week or two ago. I was digging through my old stuff and I found my old when the Conan MMORPG came into life. My wife and I were looking for a new MMO to play together because we used to play World of Warcraft together, and then we got bored of it. And so then I was looking for something new to play, and we got that. And then you could what was it? If you had a you could buy the normal $50, or you could pay $80 for the deluxe edition that came with some other stuff and all this stuff. And of course, I did that. I bought 2 copies of it so we could play it. And then, and then of course, I still have those boxes. I was digging through and I found those. I was like, "You gotta be kidding me! I still have these." It was in a box somewhere for some reason. I couldn't get rid of the art book or whatever that I got with it, and which is ridiculous. But what do you do? But no, okay. So No Man's Sky, it has there's one big negative that it has is that the designers kind of flat out misled everybody. They had talked forever about how it was like a multiplayer game, and then there's all these quotes, and you can find several videos of people that are very angry about the whole situation, that say that basically they said it's multiplayer, but the chances of you ever running into another person in the game is infinitesimal. There's just no chance because it is so huge. It's got whatever 60 quintillion planets or whatever. Just the chances of it happening are just not going to happen. So on launch day, 2 people decided they were going to they're going to find each other. And there's a video of them, and they went and they found each other, and they went to the exact same planet at the exact same time, and they're playing side by side, and you can see on their screens they're looking at the exact same thing, the same mountain in the exact same spot. They're looking, and it's but they can't see each other. It's they don't exist to each other. And so then the designer said, well, when we said multiplayer, what we meant it's like a multiplayer experience. You'll do things that other people will then see your name, because you'll find a planet and then it'll say it was discovered by X.
So not it's Pokemon Go multiplayer. Somebody else's Pokemon's name there, but you don't see the other person.
Well, I don't think you can name anything in Pokemon Go, but
you can name your critters.
Well, yeah, you can name your critters, I suppose. Yeah, that's true. So that was a big strike, where basically people were saying, well, what the hell? This was supposed to be multiplayer, and they had said that you were, is PvP going to be in the game? And they said, well, in a way, it'll be in there, and things like that. And it was all really vague, and so people were and in my opinion, rightfully annoyed. Because they were told one thing. They were led to believe a certain amount of experience would happen, but it just didn't. And then they kind of weaseled an answer out of it, saying, "Oh, well, it really wasn't," kind of thing. So it's garbage, is what it is.
Sounds like they completely lied. That's what it sounds like.
Well, in my opinion, what they did is they led you to believe X, but switched it to Y, or when it was Y all along. And if you go back, like all the interviews they have with the designer, he's very, like, anytime they ask him a very pointed question about how the game works, he like kind of always falls back on, well, I don't want to say it because I don't want to ruin the surprise, because it's a game of like exploration and things like that, and so so he never really, he lets people go down the rabbit holes without stopping them. So now then, anyway, did I have fun playing the game? Yes, I really dug the whole idea of being in space and going and finding different planets, investigating them, cultivating resources, selling those resources, fighting, having space battles with other ships, so on and so forth. It was all really fun. Now, I played it enough, and I hardcore played it enough that I eventually got to a point where, like, money is really, really simple and easy to get in the game. It's not difficult at all. You will find a planet relatively quickly just because of, you go see so many planets. You will find a planet relatively quickly that's going to have so many resources. Because remember, you get an entire planet to yourself. I mean, the other people can't come and mine it and strip it, So you'll find a planet somewhere that's going to have, like, giant deposits of gold or giant deposits of this mineral called emerald. And as long as you're willing to just sit there and listen to a podcast in your ears like I did and sit there and just mine it constantly, like go out, find a deposit, mine it, turn around, sell it, go back and do that for several hours, you'll have all the money you'll ever need in the entire game. And
sounds so utterly boring, dude.
Well, see, the thing is, I enjoy those types of games, though. I enjoy the grind. I like grind.
I mean, I like grinds. I like grinds too, and I mean, I've played many RPG and MMO and stuff in the past, but it doesn't seem like you're doing anything. If you can't share that experience, well, I mean, if you can't share that experience with anyone else, then it's not really an RPG. So you're not really building a character up, other than getting them the ability to carry more crap around. I don't know, man. The game looks awful.
I mean, no, and trust me, for you, it probably would be awful. You probably would hate every single minute of having to play it, and you'd be completely right in disdaining it. But for me, like I said, it was like one of those things where it was like, it was fun because of the fact that, like, I was able to, just play it at my own pace and do what I wanted to do. But then I got to the point where, like, I enjoyed grinding it out. I enjoyed basically, leveling up my guy, which is basically making your spaceship really good. I went through a whole process where I kind of, like, then I made sure I got all the minerals to make my weapon, my multi-use tool, which is both your mining thing and your weapon. I made sure I got that all the way up. Then I got, like, my own personal armor. So I spent all this time collecting different minerals and things like that, and ground my way up and basically, being the best I possibly could be. There just wasn't any more stuff to do. And then like, in the last 2 days, I said, okay, I'm actually gonna follow the mission. And man, is that dumb. I mean, no, see, this is why people are going to say, well, you didn't really like it. I was like, no, I mean, I really, really enjoyed it up until the point where I followed the mission, which is basically, there's this thing called the Atlas. And this is spoilers, so I mean, if you haven't played the game, I mean, and trust me, this isn't much of a spoiler just because the game was very... It's not worth spoiling. I mean, it's not worth being a big secret. Like, they tried to make this big thing where it was like, oh, it's like, something waits for you in the center of the universe. What could it be, kind of thing. That's like the whole process. And so, as you go through this process and you go to all these different Atlas locations, you slowly but surely the thing kind of reveals itself to you. And what it is that you are, and this is where the big spoiler is that, and it never really explicitly says it. You kind of have to determine it from what they're saying, and then, like, there's, like, these two other figures that you kind of run into that also kind of feed you with the information as well. But the big secret is that you aren't in a universe. You're actually in you are basically in an augmented reality. You're part of a program. You're part of a computer program, and so what, very Tron-like. And so basically, what happens is that eventually, when you get to the center of the universe, you've reached the center of what the computer program is doing. It's trying to create another reality, and so it's relying on these chaotic creations, basically you and everybody else is playing this game, to reach the center of the universe. And then when you reach the center of the universe, you've collected these things called Atlas stones, and if you haven't sold them, and a lot of people sell them because they're worth a lot of money, as long as you have these Atlas stones, you should have 10 of them. You turn all 10 of them in, and it creates another star. And like, basically, so you've helped create more of this reality by doing this. And then
it seems like every game is using that same type of mentality too. I mean, every game, like Limbo and crazy.
And then it sends you back to that star, and now if you want to, you can do it all over again. And basically, you can continue on this path of like. But now you know that you're part of this augment, and so I was just kind of like, and so then I thought, okay, because it said travel through the black hole now, and so I was like, okay, so I traveled through this black hole after I turned in the 10 Atlas stones, and I traveled through this black hole, and it deposited me in this other part of the universe that I hadn't been, and I was like, okay, so what do I do now? And then it didn't have anything left for me to do. It was just like, yeah, okay. And I was like, "Is really that's it?" And so I finally went and I read up on the game. Like I finally went to GameFAQs or something like that to see. Yeah, that's it. I went through the entire storyline. That was it. And that's when I finally just said, "Well, that's horrible." I mean, that's like the worst story ever. I
mean, I think all of these little PS4 and Xbox games that are using like these okay games that try to use these clever little endings on them to make them cooler than what they are. I mean, like I said, Limbo and Inside and The Witness and all those games that I've played through, and by the end of it, I'm just like, that's the stupidest, most confusing. I think they made it confusing just for confusing's sake to have a twist at the end.
Ooh, what's the twist?
I know.
Yeah, so ultimately, the ending definitely left me saying,
Have you played Inside, man? That's the strangest, weirdest, makes no sense game ever.
No, I haven't.
But it's awesome.
But the good news is that Madden released, so now I can just play that. So.
You play Madden?
Why wouldn't I play Madden?
I don't know why you wouldn't or would. I just didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, no, I greatly enjoy playing Madden. It's one of those. It's totally a game where you just relax and are able to do your thing, and just.
Play a ton of Madden. I haven't played for like 3 years now.
No, I like running the franchise. I like do franchise.
Yeah, that's what I used to do too. I just haven't done it lately.
Keith, your microphone sucks. You're cut. You're Mr. Roboto. You might want to restart and come back.
All right, man. I want to talk about some board game stuff tonight. So let's start on Seafall, man. And I don't want any spoilers, but there's a lot of concern out there in the board game industry that this game sucks. What's your honest opinion, Lance? I mean, I know how many games into it are you right now?
We just played our 4th and 5th sessions.
Okay, is it as boring as everyone says? Tell me about the actual gameplay. I don't care about the storyline. What's the gameplay like?
Well, I mean, do you want me just to kind of? I mean, it's. I mean,
no, tell me what you're doing. Like, what does a turn structure look like? Because
a turn structure is this. A turn structure is this. You have a buy phase, which is a option, where you either there's a tableau of different advisors that you can buy one. They either cost reputation tokens, which is a resource that you collect, or money.
Is that advisor permanently you, or does it go back to the tableau?
Can I explain, or do you just hold your questions to the end here, sir?
Well, you can ramble for an hour, so I'm trying to get them in when I can.
That's never happened. So you purchase an advisor or purchase a treasure. And sometimes if you have a special rule, you can buy both, but normally you can only buy one. So you buy one of those two things. Oh, and at the beginning of each turn, whoever's the first player turns over a card that has an event that will affect everybody that particular turn. It's usually something like you can buy both an advisor and a treasure this turn, or you can all ships get +1 move, or like certain die rolls, like major successes count as 2 successes this turn, things like that. Just like there's an event. And sometimes the events, as you play the game, new and admittedly very crazy events get added to the event deck as you play, which is kind of cool. But that's a spoiler, so I can't really go into more detail with that. But so on your turn, what you'll do is you will choose your buy action. Your advisors will go into your council room, and then if you have your advisors, what you'll do is you'll take one of your advisors and you will activate them for that turn. An advisor, unless there's a special rule for that advisor or anything like that, normally after your turn is over, you just turn that advisor upside down. They're exhausted, and they remain exhausted until a mechanism allows them to come back up, or you get through 6 rounds of the game, and then you have your winter phase, which during winter basically everything restocks, and you get to flip those advisors over. So they're kind of like a one-shot effect that you turn in that allows you to adjust certain things that you can do. Like they'll give you better more dice if you're attacking somebody, or they'll give you the ability to purchase goods at a lower price or something.
Is all the combat done by checking dice?
Yes, dice is done by dice. It is dice combat, is what it is.
Is there mitigation to it, or is it just what you roll?
Yes, there is mitigation to it. Basically, if you don't want to get attacked, you can spend, as you're playing, you can work on basically bolstering your defense and things like that to protect yourself from people attacking you. So you can, if you believe you're going to be targeted, you can do things to try to prevent that from happening. So you have to pick, and then the next, what happens after you do that, after you do your buy phase, you'll do your actual actions, and then what you will do is you will pick one of 4 different groups of actions. They are exploration, raiding, buying. No, it isn't buying. Well, it's like buy and sell goods, and I think the other one's build. Yeah, build or upgrade. And so you pick one of those things. Each one of those actions has 3 different things you can do, of which you get to pick 2. Sometimes there'll be rules that allow you to pick them all, but normally you only pick 2. So like raiding has the ability to sail, and all 4 of them have the ability to sail. So that's one of the options on all 4 of them. The ability to sail, to raid, and to tax. So if you raid, then you get to raid where one of your ships are, or where both your ships are. You can say, in that spot I'm going to raid. You're and depending upon where you are, you'll be raiding a neutral island for its goods, where you're basically attacking the people that are there. If you're in somebody else's port, you can attack their port and try to steal from them. If you're on the same spot as a ship, eventually you have the ability to fight each other as ships. Then taxation just gives you extra gold. Gold is very tough to come by unless you're able to collect goods on different islands and then sell those goods. So then you choose that action, and then you basically do a little bit of a cleanup after you're done, where if you've found something or experienced something or what have you, you then just resolve it. In exploration, during exploration, there is a paragraph book that basically if you explore, there's a symbol on an island. So the symbol, say, would be a turtle, and then on the in the book there is this picture basically of an island that's just an island for picture's sake. It has nothing. It isn't the island in the game, but there's a turtle on there that has number 172 by it. So then you cross off that turtle, and then you turn to 172 in the paragraph book, and then somebody reads basically a choose your own adventure type of situation to them. It's oh, you stumble across like vast troves of iron ore on this island, but the natives say that it's cursed and won't let you take it. Do you kill the natives and take the ore, or do you listen to what they have to say and move on? And you pick an action. And depending on what you do, maybe you'll have to roll some dice to resolve a combat. Maybe you have to roll some dice to see if you get lucky. You'll get some sort of a response. Game continues. Certain endeavors that you do earn you glory. Each section of the game has a glory amount that you have to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And that escalates with each and every session you play. So if the goal is 14 glory, the first person to 14 glory triggers the end of the game. Everybody gets the same amount of turns. So if it's like you're playing a 5-player game and the second person hits 14 glory, 3, 4, and 5 all get an extra turn, and then you just you resolve the end thing where basically you have to. There's all these different mechanisms that go on as far as like you have enmity tokens that will basically, like, when you attack people, you have to give them enmity tokens that basically say you're at war with them, and that makes it more difficult for them to attack you again because of the fact that they're at war with you and you're like better prepared to fight them. And the same result when somebody has attacked you and they give you those tokens, you're able to then, it's easier for you to attack them back because you want retribution and you want revenge, so it's easier for you to attack them. So it gives you bonus dice. So I mean, there's like things like that as well. We were worried at first that there would be because it definitely was one of those things where it's like, oh, because it's successionary scenarios or whatever. So if you do really well, the person who wins the session, they get an added bonus of a certain thing that they can do that basically it's a permanent bonus that they carry over to the next game. And we were worried that might be too powerful, but Rob Davio and the creators, they realized that they do kick the stool out from underneath the leader. You go last in the turn, so that kind of stinks because everybody's racing to get the resources quick, and so then you're left without not a lot of options at your disposal. Of all the good, the tableau of advisors, if there's good ones out there, you're watching all of them get snapped up before you're able to go. So I have not seen a runaway leader problem with it yet. But like I said, we're 5 sessions in now, and we're having a blast with it. We're having a lot of fun. So, but we're a very contentious group. We really like battling, and we really like going after each other, and enjoy the attacking and the swearing revenge and climbing over the dead bodies of our enemies to achieve victory. So it is a very contentious game. And so people have to recognize that. If you're looking for something that's going to be cuddly, the game's definitely not cuddly. So
two questions. One, how long is a turn for a player? And number two, a lot of people's gripes is going from one scenario to the next. You lose the majority of the stuff that you ended that previous scenario with.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I don't have a problem with that because of the fact that you have to do that. Otherwise, if somebody got, okay, I don't want to give spoilers away, but basically the last session we just played, one of the players in my group just went to do an explore action, had a choice that they made, and then a subsequent die roll, basically caused one of their ships to be sunk. And it crippled him, and he was basically, he was able to come back, but basically for a couple of turns he kind of had to tread water, and through no fault of his own. So now the other players and I, of course, got attacked and blown out of the water because I was in the lead, so everybody ganged up on me, which I expected. I didn't really think they'd be that good at it, but so I expected. I finished last the last session. I totally expected to. I knew they were going to go gunning for me, but Andy, my buddy, he finished second to last, and he really shouldn't have. So it's one of those things where it's if everybody else got to keep all these ship upgrades they purchased and all these port upgrades they purchased and everything like that, the next session Andy, through no fault of his own, would have no chance. I mean, he'd be like, wow, it's like I don't have, any of the money or any of the resources or anything that you have. It's you get a very, very minor bonus, which is still really, really good. It's like you get extra gold at the beginning of the new game, or you get extra reputation tokens or extra fortune tokens at the beginning of the next game. Those are important bonuses, and they're good, but you do need to reset it. I mean, it just wouldn't be fair if you didn't.
I got it. So do you like it so far? Enjoyable?
Yeah. I mean, the first session stinks. The prologue stinks because it's just, I'm not going to go too far into that, just because of the fact that like you aren't really playing a game right then, because it's the prologue. It's basically like you're kind of half-assing doing stuff, but you're mostly just reading. You're kind of getting the story going, and everybody is just kind of like getting their feet wet, if you will. But once you get like past that, and you actually get to where you're actually like playing the game, and you actually feel like you're playing, like this weird kind of Euro Ameritrash hybrid, which is what I think that they were going for with this one. It really, the game is actually a lot of fun. Now, it's supposed to last about 15 sessions. Now I'm 1/3 of the way through and I'm having fun. Now ask me again when I hit 10. I mean, I wonder, if I'm still going to be having as much fun. Because ultimately, it's like, how many more mechanisms are they going to be able to add? That's my big thing.
Yeah, how many of those boxes have you opened up?
We just opened up our second box. So, okay. And
what is that adding? Cards to decks right now?
Yeah, cards to decks. Some new rules, new options for rules. I mean, I'm not going to go into detail, but basically, like, we have new things that we have, and we're going to have new and better things that we can do now. As far as our actions, I think we have more actions we can take now. So it's one of those things where, yes, I think I'm a little worried. I mean, as I always am, but I'm a worrier, if you will. So. I think it'll be fine though.
When you play Pandemic Legacy into each month and you win it, you're excited because something really changed there. Are you kind of seeing that also with this one, or is this a much slower burn?
I wouldn't know, because I played 2 rounds of Pandemic Legacy and I thought it was horrible because I was playing Pandemic.
Well, I think that's the problem everyone has, is that they expect, no matter what happens in the game, good or bad, something to happen new. Like, maybe not a new gameplay element, but for things to come in and introduce themselves to the game. And I think, if I'm right, Lance, I may be wrong, but aren't those things introduced by where you go and what you discover and the stories that you unlock?
Mostly what they are is they are milestones. There are these cards that are basically, like, they say, like, the first person to do X claims this milestone, and it's usually got a big glory. Like, instead of getting like 1 or possibly 2 glory in your turn, you're getting like a chunk of 3 or 4.
And that progresses the game.
And then it's unlockable, and then it tells you, go read this paragraph in the book. You read that paragraph, and then it says, okay, now everybody can now do this, and that kind of thing.
I got it.
Hey, David, other David, I should say.
How you doing?
Not too bad. And then Gary apparently snuck in somehow.
Yeah, I snuck in. I'm sneaky like that.
Yeah, I don't know. So I mean, yeah, I'm not upset that I own it. I mean, it's like I
definitely want to play it. I honestly don't care if it's good or bad. I still want to go all the way through it and try it.
Yeah, it's it definitely does. It takes a while, to play. It's not a fast game. You said how long are turns? Well, turns can be really fast or they can be really slow. Mm. Once again, it really depends upon the player, and it depends upon how quickly they are at decision making, which I know is me kind of dodging the but it's one of those things where it's like, you have a situation where it's like you have to figure out, if I'm going to do this, how many dice do I get to roll at this moment, and like what are my chances of being successful by rolling those dice or what have you. Now, I have run into one thing that I don't like about it, and I don't want to. I don't want. Once again, this is I'm treading into spoiler territory here, but you have a situation in sometimes when if your ship gets sunk, you have to take a repair action, and if you take and it doesn't cost you anything, your ship just pops up back at your port. And you take a repair action, you get it back, and the next turn you'll be able to sail out with it. Well, the board's huge, and I've there's a game the game thing going on there. Now, admittedly, if your ship sinks, you're going to lose all of your stuff that's on. You lose the upgrades, you lose any cargo you have. But if you're in a situation where you don't really care about that, you can just basically, and you don't want to have to sail all the way back, you can just send your ship on a suicide mission and sink it and send it back, and because of the fact that because there was a couple situations where people have had one ship sunk and another ship with a ton of damage, and it's just like they can't really move it very fast or whatever. So so it's like, oh well, I'll just basically go and send my ship to go and attack this place that there's no chance it's going to win, and it's just going to get sunk. They'll send it back. I still get to do my tax action because I have the ability to do that, so I'll get a little bit of gold. I'll send my ship back, and now I got 2 fresh ships running. And I hate when you can game the game like that. I really don't like things like that. Or you have a situation where you're playing like 5 players, and like the second player has achieved victory. Because it is possible to steal. Like if you steal treasures from people, like you'll take away their glory for having the treasures, and so you'll knock them back below the threshold. So there is a chance that even if somebody claims victory, you could take it back. But if you know that you can't, and you know the game's going to be ending soon, it's one of those things, too, where it's just like, well, I may have to roll all 5 successes on these 5 dice, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to attempt that, because even if I lose my ship and it gets sunk, it doesn't hurt me anyway, because the game's going to be over after I get done with my turn. And once again, that kind of goes against the whole mentality of the game, where the immersion is so great with the storytelling that when that stuff like that happens, you have that like weird where you realize, oh, I'm playing a game. I'm not a pirate in this weird fantasy world. I'm playing a Euro right now or something. So
right.
That's a little annoying. I mean, that's pretty minor, but it's annoying.
Are you playing 4 or 5 player?
5 player. I think you should probably play 4, in my opinion, just because the game will run quicker. But I was one of those things where it's like, well, if it's 4 or 5 players, I've got 10 people in my gaming group. I've got 5 people, including myself, that I can count on to mostly be available anytime I ask them to play. So I'm gonna go balls out. I'm gonna play with all 5. So. Yeah. I picked up a copy at Gen Con. I pre-ordered a copy, so I'm going to get another one. I mean, I might play it again with like 3, just to play it quick, and just to do it again. So, there you go. But I'm done. Tell Kabuki Kid she can unmute herself. She's fine now. And I have to see why my daughter's up.
Like we're all busy working or something.
So, David, thanks for offering up a copy of Mare Nostrum.
Oh, you're welcome. It should be in the mail today, I think.
Cool.
I have the original of Mare Nostrum.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. With the mythology expansion, the old Eurogame version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I have the new one too. The new one's amazing. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Mare Nostrum was a game that it was like that old Eurogames publisher. Whatever happened to them? I'm sure they just died off. But I always wonder when small game companies just fall by the wayside. Like I always wondered.
You don't hear anything about it.
Yeah, I always wonder what happened to them. Like the old the company that was around. Oh gosh, give me a second. I gotta remember it now. I think I still have one game by them. I think my copy of crap.
What game is it?
No, because I can't even think of the name. The ultimate filler. Everybody always said it was like the ultimate filler. It was about like renting or buying property.
Oh,
for sale.
Yeah.
Uberplay. That's right.
That's right.
The company Uberplay, where the people that ran Uberplay also had that website Tenga. That was like a deal a day site. I think Tenga still exists in some shape or form today. But let me see. And there was their big thing was that they had puzzles every day. Like you could play these puzzles and then they had I forget what there was. There was a thing that you could like it was they had some contest where there was like they'd give something away every day. And it was like it was a cool idea for a puzzle where it said you picked a number, and whoever picked the lowest number that didn't get picked by somebody else won. So like if you guessed like it was kind of like weirdly gambling. Like it's like what do I say 10, but the chances are somebody's going to say 10. Do I say like 72, what are the chances somebody's going to say 72? Like things like that. And so then whoever picked and then they would get the game or the item or whatever, the random thing sent to them, which was kind of neat. But yeah, now Tenga is just another portal site. But anyway, Uberplay was like the people who ran Tenga ran Uberplay, and they actually had quite a few games that were actually fairly decent for a while there.
Yeah, I have some of theirs somewhere.
Their version of Raw, if you can find it, is fantastic. It's just like they for whatever reason the tiles the raw tiles are big, thick, chunky cardboard. It's really well done. Yeah, if you can get a copy of their copy of Raw somehow, it's probably like as far as component wise, it's probably like if you I hate Kinesia, so it wouldn't do me any good. But if you want to, that's the copy to get. Or so I've been told. Anyway, so yeah. Anybody else play any games lately? Keith, what have you played lately? What games have you played? What board games have you played? Keith? Keith, are you there? Is he asleep?
Somebody's talking to him.
Oh.
Or
no,
his
he's
mic's
talking.
still bad.
No, I don't think he's paying attention to me. That's fine. I feel bad now because I called him out, and now he's doing something weird. What is he doing? Let's just focus on him. Here. See, he thinks, who's he talking to? Look, he's got a... Oh, he logged out! Oh, man. What a...
He get killed?
No.
He's dead?
It sounded like Anthony, who like had his wife come in and yell at him while we're on the air. It's one of those cringeworthy things where it's like you're like, ugh. You know what? Be there when it happens. I don't know. I mean, Jeremy, I know you and David got to be hammering away.
Hello.
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
There we go.
What was going on there?
I don't know. My mic apparently was not working.
Oh, we thought you were getting yelled at by your wife or something.
No, I was sitting here. I just couldn't talk with him.
Oh, okay. No, you play anything new, buddy?
I played Scythe tonight, and I think the Red faction is broke as shit.
That is a very common comment.
Explain
why you think. Explain why you think that.
I had the Red faction, and I won by 50% more points than the next player.
Okay, and explain why did that happen?
Because the first thing I did was run to the factory because I could do that as soon as I unlocked my first mech. I got my choice of factory cards. I got one that let me spend a combat card to get upgrades for my board. I just went and would bolster to get the first thing I did was go there to that location, cashed in a combat card because I start with 2, boosted my bolster action with my first upgrade so I could get more combat cards for using a bolster action. And then I just sit there and upgrade because I can use the same action every turn. And then everything was dirt cheap for me to just roll over everybody. And I just slaughtered them. It wasn't even close for them.
One more reason why that game is broken.
I think if that faction wasn't in there, it would have been a very competitive game. But the fact that I got a really good factory action that allowed me to basically upgrade stuff for free.
But okay, so what about people that like say like with Blood Rage, like, oh, you got all the Loki cards, so now like you're too powerful.
Well, but I mean, Blood Rage. I think so. If you see somebody doing this, if everybody worked together, went over, chased them out of their home turf, and basically locked them to their home space so they'd have to fight their way onto the board, they might be able to slow that person down, but they got to give up their own game to fight that person. There's nothing you can do to prevent that red faction from getting to the factory first and getting their choice, and if the right cards in the game, not a damn thing you can do.
What is their... Are they the Water Walkers?
No, they're the ones that can use the same action every turn.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha.
And the first thing I upgraded for my characters and my mechs was I can move between a village I control and the factory back and forth. So, guess what I do? The first thing I do is I produce steel. I move a worker in. I produce steel again. I build a mech. I take a move action. I take out the center like square immediately, right, before anybody else gets a chance. And I can get the whatever's most advantageous for me out of the factory cards, and then just abuse the crap out of that factory card. It was just I just feel like that one, especially if you're playing someone who's never played the game before, and I just randomly dealt these out. I just beat on them, and there wasn't much they could do with learning the game. It was
Gaming 101. Find the loop and abuse it.
Yeah. No, I like the game. I think it's a cool game, and I think it's very thematic. I just feel like that faction's just a hair OP.
Is it something you think in the future, like people would be able to, like, after they saw how well that you did, they could prevent it from happening, or is it just once you got that upgrade, it was just done?
Well, I think if people went out of their way to try to get in that person's way, they might be able to. It just seems super powerful. So like the Water Walker guys, they might be able to get a mech to the center before you do if they really worked at it, or the Black faction might be able to, since they can use any mountain as a tunnel. If you can get to the factory space and basically fight Red off before he can get a factory card, you might be able to. Or like I said, you have to go into their home turf, chase all their workers off the board, and just lock them off the board. But that's not really playing the game the way you want to play it. I don't know. But, maybe somebody else will have a better strategy to beat somebody. I think it's just really hard when somebody's new. I think if you're teaching somebody the game, Red may be the good faction to give a person learning the game against experienced players. But I still like it. It's still a gorgeous production. It's still a fun game. I just feel like one of the 5 factions seems a little too tough. And I've heard that from others as well.
Yeah.
And seeing it in action myself, yeah, it definitely can be. Put it in perspective, I put the 6 star on the board, which triggered the end of the game. The next player behind me only had 3 stars on the board, and the other guy only had 1. That's how quickly I was putting out stars compared to everybody else.
Do you like that kind of mechanism in a game, Keith?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I like it better inside than in Euphoria.
Yeah, it's like my least favorite. I think out of all the game mechanisms, a game that's not a true like racing game that has an element that rushes the end game, I don't know. I tune out.
Yeah,
I can't get into it.
And I pushed the end game to end it a little bit quicker because 1, I thought it would definitely secure my win, and it did, and 2, because if I did stretch it out, I was just going to be piling on because I could still produce a lot more stuff than they could. It's just I was just too far ahead for him. All I would have done was just spread out and piled on the points versus just killing it. And I had a situation where I could not possibly lose a combat because I knew going into it I could play one more combat card than the other guy. I was at full power, so I could spend all 7. I had 3 5-power cards in my hand, so the other guy got to take a card, but best he could come at me with was 12, and I can come at him with 17, so there's no way I can lose. So
yeah,
it was very deterministic from that standpoint, as I knew as soon as I fought a combat I was going to win the game. I also could have won the game from doing a produce action, which would have put my last star on, but the combat action actually gave me control of the center square, which was 3 locations. That's a lot more money. It boosts my score up. So
yeah.
that's pretty good. I also then turned it around and played almost the opposite heaviness game by playing Tada, which is it's just silly stupidity.
Interesting. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't. It's weird. Scythe has its people that are, like they just love it. They think, oh my gosh, this is amazing, and then they have the people that are just like, I don't know. They're like you saying that. Why are we in a situation where, like you have that runaway problem or whatever?
Yeah.
And the people that love it defend it and say that it's. I mean, it's what it is. What was ringing a bell, by the way?
I don't know. But I think if you just don't play with that faction, I think it'll be a very competitive and very enjoyable game. I just feel like that one is kind of easy mode.
Well, remember people used to say that about the Corn faction on whatchamadig on what was that? What's that game?
Zolkin?
No.
Zolkin?
The why can't I think? The old area control game by FFG where you play the different evil gods
Chaos and Noble?
Yeah, Chaos.
Yeah. So the people said that about Corn because they're asymmetrical, but Corn like just got extra points from battling. So it was like. So that was, and he was strong in battle, so it was like his was just kind of easy mode or what have you. So,
I did play a couple other games.
I've lost playing Corn.
Well,
I don't think it was all that easy.
I know, but I'm saying people said that about it back then.
And who knows? Maybe this will prove out that statistically it may not be that red is OP. It just felt that way for us, especially with teaching 2 new people. I played Dragon and Flagon this weekend. Which that is a fun programmable movement game.
Is it something you'll come back and play often, though, or is it just like a one-time off? This was fun. Maybe I'll play it again.
I want to play it again, but I want to play it with. I want to play a game with all 8 characters in the game at once. We played 3-player where everybody has to play 2 characters. I would really rather play that game with 8 people where each person plays 1 character, and the tavern is full. It's got a lot of cool stuff going on, but is it a game I'll play over and over? No, but I end up not playing half my games over and over. The game I will play multiple times, and I've played twice in the same day now already, is Mansions of Madness 2.0.
Yeah.
And that is amazing in my opinion.
You put, I was looking at your Twitter account, you played Submerge a couple days ago. Did you like that?
Let me play it again and tell you.
Really?
It has a cool mechanism in that you've got those worker placement spots that change over the game. But the overall just fun factor of playing it as a worker placement didn't click for me when I was learning it. The rule book is a mess. It's a train wreck. It is. The rules are there. It's just not laid out in a very intuitive manner. Like just little things like they've numbered the spaces on the board to reference them in the manual to point different steps at them. And, step 1 is here, step 2 is over here, step 3 is here, step 4 is over here. Instead of, let's put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, some kind of order. It's just kind of disjointed, but I need to play that game again. It's the learning game. While it played through, it wasn't as fun as I expected. The unique mechanism was not enough.
I've heard mixed. I've heard a lot of people really like it, and then I've heard a lot of people really do not like it. So
it's a very cool concept, but I'd rather play a lot of other worker placements.
You played the base game, right? You didn't
yes, I just played the base game to learn it. So. I will try it again, just not right now. There are other stuff I haven't played yet that I picked up. I did New Bedford, which I always liked New Bedford for a very quick, light little worker placement. I dig New Bedford. I think it's a lot of fun. And yeah.
Do you think that's where we're going, though? I mean, it seems to me, and I've had this discussion with a few people, is that we're just, I don't know, it just seems like that whole lighter game thing, that 45-minute light game. I know, David, you and I had a Lowry. David's. We were just talking about how we're getting to that weird point where, it's
like
that's
45-minute Euro.
Yeah, the 45-minute. Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. It's is that where we're headed? I mean, there will always be bigger and heavier games, but it just seems like.
Well, I think because we're starting to see actual growth outside of the normal board gamer, that you're going to get a lot more social aspect gaming in for those people who aren't looking for the challenge, so to speak, but they're looking for something that gives them, a feeling of playing a game, but isn't necessarily a brain burner by any stretch. And the more popular this hobby gets, the more we're probably going to see things like that. So it's not a surprise to me. I just think it's a shame when, like anything else, I mean, you could apply this to music, you could apply it to anything. It's like the really good stuff always gets buried because nobody appreciates that. It's always the light stuff, it's always the fluff, or maybe not so talented or whatever that really gets all the attention. So, with the games coming out today, I see a lot of that, and it just kind of drives me crazy. Everybody's talking about games that, don't particularly interest me. And it seems, even here, when I have people over, I'm always playing games that I wouldn't normally want to play and get to the table because they're quicker and lighter, and that's what the people want to deal with. So that's just kind of how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You need to move to Indiana. We'll play some heavy games here.
I'm fine with heavy games, but
I keep telling you, Dominion isn't a heavy game.
I don't want the short ones to replace the heavy ones, but I like having a nice strategic game that's also short to fill that little bit of time left in the evening when, I'm not ready to quit.
What would you consider 45 minutes and highly strategic?
Well, I mean, so I look at New Bedford. It's a nice little worker placement where you're just playing 2 workers. You never get more than that. But there's plenty of strategy in what you want to do. It's not super deep, but it gives you a nice little
How long does that take?
Euro game. If you know how to play it, you can play it in 45 minutes or less.
With 4?
I played it with 3, not with 4. With 2 players, I can play that game in 20 minutes.
And man, I just can't get invested in 45 minutes, man.
And it's not many.
Although David and I just played Broadsides, and I gotta tell you, man, that little game does something that any other 2-player game doesn't do, and that's make you remember the game. Like, you almost create a narrative with the game, which is kind of unique. Like, I can remember certain things that happen and when they happen and why they happen. Like, it's almost like playing Star Wars Rebellion, but condensed down where, I can remember when Han went to, grab the Millennium Falcon and take Leia and save her from Gary when I was playing against him, and then a couple turns later blew up the Death Star with Luke. Like, I remember all that narrative. And Broadsides is kind of the same way, where there's no story in it at all. But I can remember doing certain pieces of his, of his ship and taking away sails and then slowly chipping away portions of his ship. And it has that, which is really unique for a 2-player game to have that kind of narrative built into it.
I thought that maybe Skullville might fit that fairly well, being that 45 to 60 minute game that has enough strategy in it to keep you interested. It feels like it ends a little early to me, but But I thought that they did that one pretty well.
What is that called?
Obviously, I know it's a TMG game, but I think Scoville is a fantastic game.
Oh, Scoville. I thought you said Scoville. Yeah, Scoville.
Sorry.
We don't play it that fast.
I've never played it that fast.
Well, it always goes that fast for me, so maybe that's why it feels like it's so short. But that's the one game, like, we have a library out here, a nonprofit, and whenever I go there, all of those gamers, with the exception of maybe 2 people, are really light social gamers. And so if we pull out Scoville, which is a heavy game for them, then it just blows right through it. And so I never get anything really good to the table there. But you know, that one, that's where I tend to get that one played the most, because it's about as challenging as they'll handle.
FFG's not trying to go short because Rebellion's not a short game, and neither is Mansions of Madness.
Well, they've been doing some short games, like the remake of what is it? That was that little game. Was it Samurai?
Oh yeah, but it's a remake, so it's already.
I mean, they did that. They did that crappy Star Wars game in the square box. What was that?
Oh yeah, they did that. But they're still at least making the nice big marathon experience games. And I think Mansions of Madness does a good job of telling that experience. When, one game I ended up just waltzing in there. Yeah, I got a bunch of deep ones after me and had to deal with that. But another game, my buddy punched a Shoggoth to death with his bare hands. It had taken him 3 rounds, but he beat that thing with his bare hands, and that was an experience. I think it was Chuck Norris. Actually, it was. Who was he controlling? Oh, I can't even remember who.
I mean, that's why that's.
Oh, it was Randy Thompson did it. Oh no, Jenny Barnes did it with her bare hands.
Yeah, we've only played the first scenario, but man, that makes me super excited to play it again. And even, I mean, they mentioned Imperial Assault, going back in there and doing that when they do the app for that.
I can't wait for the app for Imperial Assault, because that's
me neither.
I love that game. We never get to play it because of that Overlord type setting, and to sit there and just go.
I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was just, it's such a pain to have one person have to set it up and then remember everything from game to game and doing those campaigns. Man, it's just it's too much for a couple people to play all the time when there's so many other games to play.
And I don't have to organize the whole game before I even play it. You crack out the app. You need 2 tiles to get going, or 3 tiles.
Yeah.
And you're just putting generic tokens on because the app tells you what the tokens do. And it's not playing a video game. You're still playing that board game because you're still using the cards. You're still enforcing most of the rules yourself. It's just reminding you of stuff, and it's doing all the fiddly shit for you.
And I gotta tell you, man, it's so enjoyable walking around in that mansion and not knowing what's behind those doors.
Right.
It's such a different gameplay experience doing that, and I think Imperial Assault's going to be the same way. The terminal is somewhere, but I have no idea where it is. Let's just go through this door. Oh crap! There's 5 stormtroopers in here and a general. It just seems so much more exciting by that basic element of not having the board laid out all in front of you at the start.
Yeah, and you can kind of. I've played the first scenario 3 times. I've lost twice and won once. And I got close. Our last game actually ended kind of interesting because 2 out of the 3 of us went insane. Well, 2 out of the 2 insane people actually won the game, and I'm the only one that lost because they both had conditions. One of them had a condition that if we lose, he wins, basically, was his insanity. The other guy's was if we fail the investigation and he has at least X number of items, he wins. And so they both won, and I'm the only one that lost. We all got sucked into a vortex, and the house got sucked into another dimension, but I only lost. They went out happy as clams, jabbering in the corner.
Well, you know how you fix that, right?
How's that?
You play better.
Well, what sucked is we had the puzzle ready to win, but the one guy was already insane, and he actually was sabotaging the puzzle, getting everybody confused. And he did a good job of winning that game for himself. And it was a lot of fun, and it created a memorable experience.
You haven't played the big, long 240 to 360 minutes, have you?
Nope, I haven't tried that one. Heck, we spent 3 hours on the intro scenario the last time, and it didn't feel like 3 hours.
I think we played it twice. Yeah, we played it twice. We got destroyed. I mean, we literally died in the first 5 turns.
I've had one game where I lost literally a turn from winning. I had another game where we rolled the game, and another one where we could have won within, 3 turns from when we lost early, or 3 turns well before we lost, had somebody not been intentionally trying to muddy the waters.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just cool. It creates a cool experience. And we had fire in the mansion, and we were running around trying to put out the fire so we could keep from getting ourselves killed because we were all wounded. We were all half insane. It was great.
Yeah. Hey, Scott, have you played Mansions yet, the new one?
Me? No, I have not. I actually taken on the cruise.
Yeah, when's the cruise? Is that soon?
I leave on Saturday.
Oh, lucky you.
It's
Awesome.
Lucky me. It's going to be fun.
Where are you guys?
Sorry to see you guys on the cruise. It's going out of Houston or Galveston.
Nice.
And it's going for 7 days.
That's awesome. How many people?
I think it's just under 100, like 75 or something like that.
Yeah.
We're running about 200 games. I've picked more games out than I can possibly play. So.
Yeah.
$79.5 million man Scott Alden joins the Alaboom.
Thanks, Lance.
How you doing?
Great.
So you're worth $79.5 million, and you need to run a Kickstarter so you can open up a hotel block for your people. Why don't you just foot the bill?
Yes, I've read all these people who are so experienced running conventions tell me not to do this. So, whatever. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Well, you don't know until you try, number one.
But nobody ever says that
running
about
a convention is not as easy as everybody says it is, especially if you want to run one for 800 to 1,000 people. You can easily get yourself in very serious trouble financially with hotels by doing conventions where you don't actually put people in the hotel. So I could basically run the convention. If nobody showed up, there would be no more BGG conventions. Like 1 year of failing conventions could put a company out of business. It really can. Just there's that much at stake on these things.
It's turned depressing all of a sudden.
I think a lot of people don't really realize that. No, I mean I've read some negative comments. I mean I'm positive. I don't know if the convention will happen. I feel it has like a 50-50 shot right now, based on feedback so far, and then I think we're at 20% funded, maybe under that. I don't even.
You're at 15,000 of 64.
Right.
Wait, we were talking about the pre-con, not the actual.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the pre-con. Sure, pre-con.
All right.
Yeah, so that's 23%.
Gotcha.
Hey,
So,
Collins,
maybe in
I'm
a couple
sleeping
weeks.
on your couch at BGGCon, right?
Oh, okay. Is that what you're doing? Because you keep bouncing back and forth between begging Aldi for a room and sleeping on the couch.
No. I mean, but I figure the three of us, it's you and one of your entourage, and then I can and you said you had they have a couch that folds out or something, like a sleeper couch.
But they gave us a roll-away last year. So
Yeah, you should
we had
be able to roll away.
All right, so
and we're getting in there Tuesday morning early,
Yeah.
so we should be able to try to snag a roll-away. I don't know when you get there, but
well, yeah.
my flight gets in at like 11 a.m. or earlier. It's
My
pretty
plan
early.
was to be there Tuesday, and so yeah, there you go.
I'm going to wander down and beat on the glass cock and see if Aldi's home.
I love the glass cock room. It's awesome.
I may be there. You never know.
Never know.
No, cool, very awesome.
And Aldi, I meant what I meant.
And then yeah. So right now, like,
Yeah, it's at 23%, and it's got another week or something. I don't know. My sense is it's not going to make it.
hey, can you just let me interrupt for a second? David Lowry, are you going to BGGCon this year?
I don't know. I had that discussion with the guys last week. There's a possibility. We haven't discussed it yet because I'm not going to travel on my own dime again for.
Aldi's got a room for you. You can stay with Chad.
I do not.
You were just gonna wait a minute. They got taken in in that 10-second time moment there.
I already told you. You told me you were sleeping with Keith, so that your room's gone.
Oh, I need it back now.
Sorry, dude. It's a popular convention. It sold out in 2 hours. You got a lot of people wanting rooms.
I got my ticket because I was prepared.
So the pre-con is not for you guys.
Like any of us, you're just like, I'm
the
good.
The pre-con is not for you guys. It's for the 1,000+ people who are on the waiting list. That's the only really reason we're running this. There was not 1,000 people on the waiting list.
Here's the problem with this, and I don't want to be sounding like a jerk here.
Oh, please tell me the problem. Please, Lance, tell me your vast experience of running a 3,000 person convention. Let me know what the problem is. I want to hear it. Come on. Armchair me, man. Armchair me.
I've never seen him shut up before.
I know. I just made it.
This is not how you make BGG great again. I'm just gonna say that right now.
So terrible.
I've never seen Aldi this ready to smack Lance.
No. I mean, you know, the game industry is a lot different than it used to be.
But okay, here's the deal: is that, as you said, it isn't going to be for the people that are already signed up to go, that have.
No, it's not exclusively for those people.
Well, no, but
a lot of people who are posting that they disagree with it are already coming to the convention.
Very few people can take a whole week off from their job, from their families, from their commitments, or whatever. So, like, the people that are already going to be there, like Wednesday through Sunday or whatever, they are.
I'm not expecting them to come.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but that's when, and I don't know what you have planned, but I mean, you're not going to have vendors there. You're not going to have.
It's just going to be a great weekend of gaming.
Isn't it true though that I hear? I mean, the vendors really don't do that much there anyway. It really is truly more about gaming than having the vendors and everything there.
The vendors really don't do much. They do a little. Fun again.
Oh, don't tell them that. Oh my God.
What?
You basically work as many hours as Gen Con. So if you want to say that's doing nothing, then.
Well, I mean, what I've been told by the vendors
release party or anything like the other things. I mean, Fun Again has their big deal where they bring their Essen stuff with them, and so if there's games,
if you pre-order stuff, you can pre-order Fun Again.
If you pre-order stuff through Fun Again, you can pick it up at Essen, which is actually a pretty good deal. But the stuff that people really like the flea market and stuff like that. I mean, you're not going to have that for them. You're not going to have 2 flea markets. You're not going to have 2.
No, we're not committing to anything, but we wouldn't have stopped something organically happening.
Yeah.
The flea market was never our own creation. We don't run it. We organize tables, but we don't make it happen. It's just a room, right?
And I use the crap out of the vendor hall during BGG Con, not necessarily to buy games, but to demo upcoming and new
It's a
games.
different convention, and if it doesn't fun, it doesn't fun. I'm fine with that.
I think it's.
But when I get 1,000 people emailing me, I wouldn't say 1,000 people emailing me, but I have 1,000 people clamoring for a ticket to not run. When the hotel says, "Hey, you want to run an 800 to 1,200 person convention the week before the convention?" And we'll try. So here we are trying.
It's nice because it's easy for people to sit there in a poll and say, "Yeah, I want to go to this."
Exactly. There's a poll, and then there's
put up
putting
or shut up.
money where your
giving
mouth
them
is.
the opportunity to make it.
So
happen.
we are doing that. That's what Kickstarter's for.
Yeah.
We could have taken the money up front. We have the system for that. But if it didn't make this minimum goal we're setting, we'd be sitting there refunding for a month. Right? Pushing a button or whatever it is.
You are using Kickstarter for its actual.
I'm using Kickstarter for its purpose. If we don't make the fund, it doesn't happen. I mean, it ain't like, oh, this game's already printed. You guys want to pay for it now? I'm not doing that.
No,
the convention is not there.
I think the decision to kickstart this is the right one because it really tells you, do people want to do this? Now, the disadvantage is it's this late to the game, maybe, so people have only burned time.
Less than 3 months is a good amount of time, though. I mean, I can change my life in 3 months from now.
Yeah, but I may not have, say I wanted to, I may have already scheduled all my vacation, couldn't go. But,
no question. A lot of people have already planned out their whole year.
Right. But
hey, Scott,
that doesn't stop the fact that 5 people sign up for the waiting list after we launch the Kickstarter. There's constantly... Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you a weird question. Have you ever thought about having a convention in Indianapolis the week prior to Gen Con? Like having an extension of BGG Con here?
Trying to kill me?
No, I'm just asking.
No. Never thought about it. No.
I think it would be successful.
I mean, I don't know if I want to get into all the reasons why I don't want to do it, but it's like.
Why don't you tell us how good it would work if you've ever run a 3,000 person convention?
I think a lot of people think it's extremely easy.
You dazzle me, Jeremy.
What I'm saying though is that there's a lot of people that come in the week prior. I mean, we were down there on Monday. If you had something where gamers can congregate and do stuff for the few days.
I don't even know if there's a hotel big enough in the area for us. Maybe there is.
Oh yeah, there is. This is downtown Indy.
Well, nice.
I mean, here's the deal. Like, it's got to be at least 50,000 square foot of space. Like, I'm not going to put it in the convention center.
You can do it in my basement.
It probably even have to be bigger than that. Like 50,000 is the bare minimum. That would be BGG con sized, right? Anyway. Whatever. The people who have said, "Oh, just grow it," have no effing clue what they're talking about. So
I have a serious question, and not to be a snark at all. Do you ever see a point coming where BGG Con, if it continues to grow or go into split into the other weeks, where you would do kind of almost like the season ticket thing, where people that had the badge the previous year get first dibs on the next year for the main con to try to lock in?
We've thought about it, but there's problems with that, right? Because if it's a limited space, then it's always the same people. Nobody new can come.
Exactly, you get into that. But that's where you open the new con.
I mean, it's not like the Green Bay Packers Stadium.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Nobody who is not born into a inheritance of a ticket can go to those games.
Right, you don't get in unless somebody cancels that has it, and once you cancel, you're out. You're done. But I know that's not the right situation either.
Doesn't that put it on the onus of us as saying, hey, you know what? If you can't attend these more popular conventions, there's literally hundreds of others around your areas that you could be attending and helping them grow and not ignoring.
Oh, for sure. Every city's got conventions now. I mean, there's a convention every weekend. Every weekend of the year.
I mean, literally in 3 years, you've gone from selling out in 2 months to 2 weeks to 2 hours or whatever, you know. It's
gonna be like 20 minutes next year, honestly. No, it will. It's gonna be one of those things where if I forget about it, I'm gonna be hammering on your door begging for a hotel room again.
Well, you're on a vendor now. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Believe me. So here's the deal. We've looked at bigger hotel rooms in Dallas. So far, nothing has matched up with us properly.
I thought you found a place that you were all like...
No, he said he didn't.
I have found a place. I would love for it to be at a certain place. They don't have the space or the time. They have the space. They don't have the time. If you would like to have a convention during the second week of December, they're all for it. Or the week of Thanksgiving, come on over. Would you like to have that convention during Thanksgiving?
Well, it'd be nice and empty.
Yeah, if you want, we'll all be there hanging out. Like, there'll
be 6 of us at the Glasscock. Oh crap!
Yeah, it's a busy world here. So,
you must be doing something right at the convention, or people would be screaming to get in. So, if you change it, it'll.
Well, and that's what the pre-con is for. It's a taste of the convention. Obviously, not the full convention because we're 3 months out. We can't make another BGG con that quickly. We have to plan it a little better. If we want a pre-con that's exactly the same as BGG con, that's a completely different ball of wax.
So you're still going to have access to the best library in convention gaming.
You'll have all the SN releases there.
You'll have every releases.
If the SN releases aren't there for the pre-con, then they wouldn't probably be there for the BGG con. So
yeah. The thing you're missing out on the most, like if it was to happen this year, is you may not get to sit down and drop down and play a game with Rob Davio or Zev or somebody like that, organically. But if you play
what are
it
the
right,
chances of that though in the BGG con?
It happens every year.
I know both of those things.
Well, yeah.
But that's your chance.
Lance the name dropper.
I didn't drop the names. You're saying that.
You're a special person, Lane. You're a special snowflake.
Aww.
But if you've got a buddy or a couple of buddies, and
I don't have any buddies,
then pre-con's just as good.
Yeah, if you've got a group of 2 or 3, 4 people that can't get into BGG Con, I fairly certain you will have a good time at pre-con.
There's no reason you wouldn't.
I
And
don't
actually,
know why
you might have more.
And if you don't, then BGG-Con may not be the con for you either. Like,
Right.
honestly.
Because
that's what
BGG-Con
was built on gamers playing games in an open area with the best library in the world and the newest releases from us. That's what the convention was built on.
And that's
not vendors. Even though vendors are there, there was 4 vendors at the first BGG-Con. Days of Wonder, Eagle, Asmodee, who am I forgetting? Remember Ron Megan's company? What was the name of that? Cafe Games? Remember those guys?
No.
Oh, I guarantee you remember their games. I can't remember the name of it. It was a Martin Wallace game. It was super hype. Biggest hype I'd ever seen at that point for a game that he couldn't sell. Oh, what was it? I gotta find it now.
Is it sad that I thought about buying a one-day badge for pre-con just so I could start Tuesday morning as soon as I hit the door?
Oh, you can jump in?
Yeah. Just jump in for 6 hours.
Tempest?
Remember that? Oh my gosh.
You remember
I was so hyped.
Oh, yes. I remember that now.
But
yeah,
I would go to BGG-Con if it was only what exists in pre-con. If the vendors weren't there, I would still go to it because it's what I'm looking for.
No, I'm glad to have the vendors there, but it's not a vendor-centric con like Gen Con is.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gen Con is a vendor-centric con. Come on. Like, how many vendors are there? 800?
Gen Con is a shopping trip wrapped around gaming. Whereas BGG-Con is a gaming con with some shopping.
And if you've got some shopping money to spend, you can spend.
And I mean, then don't take the vendors for granted because that's where I got
not taking
Mysterium to begin with. You know, when people say, "Oh, there's not that much there," oh yeah, there is. I came back with a piece full of crap.
No, there's definitely some good stuff. Most vendors will have their SN releases, like the ones that are on it. But either that or you'll be playing the latest version of Origins. Remember that game?
Yeah. I came back with
big last year. I remember.
Yeah, I came back with stuff that I didn't see, available for months afterwards. So the vendors are definitely a good presence, but were they not there, I still would have had just as much fun. So.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my spiel. Come to pre-con if you want. It'll be fun. Hopefully it makes it and we all get to play for 10 days. I would be looking forward to pre-con because I would actually get to play games for 5 days straight.
Yeah,
what is that like?
Yeah, I know. What is that like? I don't know what it's like.
I don't think I even demoed a game at Gen Con this year.
It's pretty crazy.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
I played Scythe. Keith was there when we played.
Yes, we talked Scythe earlier, Aldi. I've decided after playing tonight that the red faction is broke.
Not black?
I won by 50% over second place when I used the red faction. So
black then red.
I think it's red followed by black. Well, I don't know.
They're pretty close.
It's red just.
I think the white needs something.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember what the white special abilities are, but they like the mech powers. I mean.
Yeah.
The mech powers really.
I thought yellow was super weak until I understood their ability, but I think they get diluted down a lot in the larger the game is. The ability to teleport to the edge is nice, but.
Well, they also get to spend a resource card.
Yeah, but
or
only
a card
one.
as a resource, but one time per turn.
Yeah,
and one card. One card. Why not unlimited, right? Like why not?
Yeah.
Why not make it cool?
Yeah.
Why not make BGG great again?
Where's our hats, Lance? Where's our hats?
Yeah, I'm not. I know. They exist. They're actually.
Here we go.
No. I don't want you to see them until you actually.
Don't spoil it.
I want them. Yeah. So yeah.
I gotta check, guys. Night.
Night.
Good morning.
See you
Hey
later.
everybody! Go check out Man vs. Meeple.
Hey,
Yeah, nice job lately, guys.
Aldi, there's a question for you in chat. Paul Tompkins wants to know if he can sign up to volunteer for BGG Precon.
Yeah, just send an email to BGGCon. BGGCon@BoardGameGeek.com. But don't make any travel plans. Like, don't buy tickets. Like, the con needs to fund before it actually
Wait for it to fund first.
Yeah,
and what he means is that he will reimburse you for those tickets. Because he's the $79.5 million man.
No, will not reimburse anybody. So, Lance, thank you. If it doesn't fund,
it's one of those things.
Here's the deal. If it doesn't get like pretty good close next week, we're probably going to end it early. Like, I don't want people to be hanging on the edge here. It's as quick as it can be.
I'll say this: whenever I give Scott any little bit of crap, I always wonder if part of me wonders if she's just like that fucking Lance.
You don't even know. It's funny how you've changed my I'm not even gonna say it.
No, say it. What? No, say it. I want to hear it.
No, it's fine.
No.
I don't want to say it.
Don't be. Come on. Don't be like that. Don't be that guy. You can't say, "Oh, it's funny that I'm going to say this, then I'm not going to."
No, I'm not gonna say it.
Say it.
No. Wish I didn't say it.
Fine, you're that guy then.
I'm that guy.
Why don't you go vague book for a while? Talk about
talking about Seafall.
Oh, the day I've had.
I don't think I post that kind of stuff. I played Seafall last night. It was pretty awesome. Played 2 games. Played the prologue and game 1.
And you thought?
Yeah, I think I like it. I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming.
Yeah, it's we're on our 5th session now, so.
I wish the game was not delayed because I feel it might be getting dogged a little early by some people. And
how many people are you playing with? How many
4.
people?
It's a 4
See,
player.
I think 4 is the sweet spot. We're playing with 5, and it's still good, but I think it bogs. I mean, just more people, it slows down.
There are some slow turns in that game for sure. Like, it can take a good minute to 2 minutes to resolve a turn, especially if you're doing exploration.
Well, yeah, just the whole process of reading.
Yeah, the process of like, let me look at the map for like a minute. And then let me read the paragraph, and let me think about my choices. And then some terms are like, okay, I'm done. Like, as soon as you can pre-plan it. Like, okay, I'm taxing, and I'm doing this, whatever, sailing.
I think you guys need to talk about a different game until October, when at least this...
I know, it's not out yet. Like, I wish it was out for more people, because I think, what did they sell, 200 copies?
Yeah, that's pre-order, guys.
That's not enough.
Freaking October.
Its fate will be sealed by the first 200 people making review, or the people who have the 200 making reviews. And if you get 1 to 2 people, 3 people that don't like it,
and I don't think there's a single person got a pre-order copy that's not a complete dick.
I actually didn't get a copy. Lance got one.
I know.
I'm not playing my copy. I'm playing somebody else's copy.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Anyway, it's a cool game though.
Once upon a time, I would have had it. So I've matured. I can wait. I'll just be bitchy about it.
It's surprising me actually. So there are fun things in there. Played Archaeology. You guys ever play Archaeology from?
No, but that looks good.
Paul? No, not Paul. What's his name? Phil. Why am I blanking on his name right now? Phil Harding? Is that his name? Phil Walker Harding? Is that right?
For who? I'm not.
Archaeology.
Yeah.
Z-Man reprinted the Archaeology, and it's what is it? Archaeology: The New Expedition, I think is what it's called. Yeah. Really hard to find. Very hard to find. But Phil Walker Harding. Sushi Go, Imhotep designer.
Yep.
Really like it. It's fun. It's a very
what the hell's
quick...
Barry doing in the chat instead of talking to us?
Yeah, I know. He says he can't focus for more than after 15 minutes. He's in so much pain. He has to move or whatever.
Time to smoke more weed then.
Yeah, I've been telling him.
Put weed in that freaking droid arm and get yourself feeling better.
Or just put it in the giant jug of red liquid that he drinks.
The unicorn blood.
Yeah, the unicorn blood.
he ran out of unicorn blood. That's why he's so hurt.
Oh man, poor guy.
He needs to move to Colorado so he can stay high all the time.
Yeah.
What's coming up on Man vs. Weekle? What you guys have in the can?
Well, a few things. We just did our first little small box game. We did agility. Have you guys? Who else played agility?
I played agility.
I don't know. Fun little two-player game. Lance, you've played it, haven't you?
Which one?
Agility. The dog. You adopt dogs and run them through obstacle courses.
Oh yes, that one I have played. Yes, sorry, you have to remind me of the now I can picture the dog and the stuff and the thing.
Yeah, the artwork's not great, but the game is a lot of fun. And we just did the broadsides one. We've got a lot coming up. Schedule is really kind of filling up. We did. We're gonna be filming Black Orchestra tomorrow. Has anyone played Black Orchestra?
It's a preview. Nope.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
How did you manage to track down a copy of Black Orchestra?
He's in the same town.
He has his ways. He has his ways.
We tried it at Gen Con, and then we walked away with it and played it again, which was in a much... In fact, we played it at Nerd Night.
And you guys know when Cody doesn't hurt.
What's that?
You guys know when Cody Jones doesn't hurt to get a hold of Black Orchestra. Since he did a lot of the work on it, because Jeremy knows Cody pretty well.
Yeah, Jeremy seems to be pretty plugged in across the board, but we played it there, and it wasn't the greatest experience just because it was a bad environment at the time, but we played it again the other night. Jeremy likes it. Our friend Gary likes it pretty well, but they're both big World War II buffs, and I'm not. I have nothing against World War II as a theme, but it doesn't do much for me, and the game was just kind of slow and a lot of flipping tiles and rolling dice. So we'll see how it goes. It'll probably be one of the first games where we have a significant difference of opinions.
Yeah, have you guys had a difference of opinion yet?
Not too much. Not too much.
And there's not been a game where you've both disliked, right?
Honestly, well, we have some
you're
games
stuff you're excited about first. I think that's
we haven't really
hit the negative.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to many negative ones. We've played a couple games we were going to do, but then they always get deprioritized when there's one that we really want to get out there that we're excited about.
Do you think you'll make an episode that will be negative? Like, do you think you'll do it, or do you...
Well, Jeremy and I have slightly different opinions, and then Jeremy kind of will sometimes slide over to my opinion while we're filming.
Let me tell you your opinion, but you'll agree with me later.
Well, no, not about the game itself, but how we approach a negative game.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that a game may not be for me, but we're likely not to do. We're not going to do a review of a game that's so badly designed. I mean, there's too many good games out there. We're not going to do one that's just a horrible game, like in and of itself.
It's not worth the effort.
We might do some though that's not for me. I can tell you, this Black Orchestra review. There's not much for me to say. It does not push my buttons at all. Like, I need a game.
I'd be interested to see how your show evolves into a negative spin, where one of you doesn't love the game. Like, I think that's going to be a challenge.
It'll be interesting. We both have a tendency in privacy. We have a tendency to start dogging on each other when we don't. If I don't like something, I'm stupid because I haven't. I just don't understand it.
You haven't played it enough.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
I'm just a big fan of constant fun. I like playing a game that gives me a little satisfaction every round. And Black Orchestra there's a lot of waiting until the right moment to try to assassinate Hitler, and then crossing your fingers and hoping that you can. and I don't know.
It's like the Valkyrie movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, thematically, it's really good. The game would benefit greatly from a really good teacher explaining it. And I don't mean the mechanics, but someone who can really lay on the flavor of the theme so that you can at least latch onto that and get into it. Because without that, it's kind of hard to understand. Like, it felt a little aimless what we were doing, to me anyway, in the first bits of it. It's a gorgeous looking game, though, and I will say this: if you're a World War II buff, I can't imagine you not liking it just from the sheer fact that it's so historically based. But yeah, we've got that one coming up. That's our next one, and then we've got some other stuff coming.
I want to see you guys do a negative review and start fist fighting. It'll be awesome.
That will be
it's
awesome.
more like the ESPN, but it's hard to maintain a negative. I don't know. The board game world is like, it's such a nice, everybody's pretty nice. There's very few really negative type things out there.
Yeah, and I'm just not a negative guy to begin with. When you meet people who are trying to really hard and putting forth a lot of effort to make a game, if it's not a great game, it's hard for me not to still admire the effort to try to put something out good. So I'm never going to trash anything, I don't think.
I could put a lot of effort polishing a turd, but in the end, it's still a lump of shit.
Sure.
Well, but I mean, you don't have to necessarily, make them feel horrible about it either. There's ways you can be extremely nice and say that just it's not a very good game.
Yes and no, because if they didn't do their work and they put a nice coat of paint on something that's really junk, they're taking people's money for garbage. And in some ways, maybe you do have to make them feel bad about that because they're ripping people off.
Well, the other thing I always have to remind myself of too is, like, what you might think is garbage, there's plenty of people who have fun with it. The conversation that we were having earlier about sort of light games, 45-minute games sort of taking over. I mean, there's a lot of people who like those. There's some of those that I enjoy. I definitely don't enjoy a 4-hour, slog through anything, personally. It's just not my cup of tea. Yeah. But
it takes a lot for me to call a game garbage, to be honest. It has to have no redeeming qualities for me at all. I also don't review games for any real purpose. I just talk about it on here, so and Twitter. But I understand what you're saying. You don't want to crap on somebody's kid, but not every kid gets to go on to college.
Well, and I mean, you got to take it in the fact is it their first or second game that they've designed, and did they just jump on the bandwagon and all that kind of crap? And I look at board games just like I look at art or music. So it's a creative process. Yeah, there's mechanics and things, but there's mechanics in everything. There's mechanics in music. There's mechanics in painting. There's mechanics in everything. So
I look at garages, fixing cars.
Right, and just yesterday I had written a review of a concert here in Nashville, and it kind of explained, that I look at music, or I had to explain music in a way that people see paintings, all the way from stick figures up to Monet or Van Gogh or Picasso. And I kind of see board games along that same line. You have some board games that are very, very simplistic and may not be great games, but for a social gamer or somebody who doesn't game at all, that might be all they need. I look at DC Deck Builder and I'm going, wow, could I waste any more time in my life? But a lot of people like that game. So
come on, there's something really fun about how So I'm Aquaman with Batmobile and the Invisible Jet, and then I'm gonna.
The game is horribly themed.
It is.
But I mean, but it's not the worst game ever. It's just not. It's just not a great game. So,
worst game ever, of course, is Pandemic. So.
It's not Myth or Myth or how you pronounce it. So.
I try to be sensitive from that aspect because somebody did work on it. I just want to. If I ever do a bad review, and I don't do a whole lot of bad ones, I just tend not to review them. Then I'll try to find the most diplomatic way to say it, and I'll try to point out who I think might enjoy it. So there's some redeeming quality to it. But usually, where I come from, everything is very negative, and everybody's trashing each other all the time, and everybody could do it better. So I'm trying not to bring that jaded attitude into the board game world.
Yeah, there's, in my opinion, in most cases, there's no room for that sort of stuff. I agree. I don't want to be. I certainly will never be overly positive, and I'm never going to say a game's good that is not good. But if we're reviewing it and it's not good, I'll try to do the same thing. I'll probably try to point out, if you like these games, you might like this game, but it's not for me sort of attitude. That doesn't mean it's bad. That's where I draw the line, and a lot of other people will often, if I don't like it, it's bad, and then I just don't feel that way.
I kind of remember, it's been a while, but I remember watching, I think it was Tom or somebody throwing a game in the garbage in a video. And, he got kind of trashed for that too or whatever. And I can see why he's done it. And maybe, he was at that point where he was tired of playing really crappy games that were sent to him. But, if you've ever created anything and you have somebody do that to you, even if it's really constructive, there's still a really negative connotation that you take away from it. So, I try to be very careful with that. I mean, there's, unless it's, well, no, that's not true. There is one game I would have trashed beyond all reasonable, whatever that piece of
was
shit.
Was it the Pathfinder card game?
No, it was that piece of crap that Zayas put out, or tried to put out on Kickstarter. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, I just don't, I've played a couple bad games, but I've never played anything so bad that I just really had to ruin somebody's life over it. It's just a game.
Well, the worst game I've ever played is better than the best game I would ever be able to design. I'll be honest with that, but
yeah, and I think I take that into consideration too. Would I be able to do this? I mean, designing certainly isn't my strong suit.
No, but there's a lot of things I can't do, but I'm able to evaluate a lot of things for what I actually do for my job, not necessarily. And I don't know how to take it apart and put together a tablet press, but I know how to evaluate the tablets you make with it and tell you if you're doing it right. So it's that kind of thing for me. I may not be able to design a game, but I know if one is a stinker when I play it.
Yeah, the worst gaming experiences I can think I have, it's not really the game that was bad, but the worst gaming experiences have revolved around a rule book that couldn't come close to explaining how the game was played.
And that's what I'm much more likely to get after. Like, I may not like the mechanisms of your game. I may not like the theme of your game. But if it's broken because you can't write your rule book and explain how to play it, or you don't design it properly, or you've got broken cards that are misprinted, or you've got cards that everything in it's miscut, I'll trash you all day long for that, because there are so many resources out there that you could utilize,
right.
And if you don't do it, it's your fault. Because errors are not subjective.
Well, and I think that's the biggest problem we have in board gaming anyway, is people's lack of patience. Everybody wants to get their game out to the market as quick as possible, so it's not play tested well enough, it's not proofread well enough, and edited well enough, and everybody's trying to keep up with the Joneses, which is where we start to come in with games that are mediocre at best.
Yeah, when your board game needs a video game patch to be able to make it work, and that's not cool. But see, that's where Fantasy Flight's getting into the interesting thing with the app stuff, though. If they do screw something up, and it's got that app running the show behind the scenes, they can just patch the game and fix it. But will they end up being lazier and so if I get Rev 1 and it's broken and it ruins the story for me, it comes back and...
Did you guys know that the very first Penny Arcade comic was based on the game I made?
No kidding.
Yep.
What game did you make again?
Sin.
That game was not bad.
If you go to the Penny Arcade comic archive and you go to the very first comic, go all the way to the beginning, about Sin. We fucked up the patch badly.
What game?
We fucked up the release on that. It needed a day one patch. Sin, S-I-N.
Wait, I think we did the strategy guide for Sin way back in the day.
Did you really do the strategy? Wait, really? Did you do the strategy guide?
Yeah, I think we
worked for Activision? Oh, no, you worked for Brady.
Yeah, we did that through Activision.
Okay, cool.
That's hilarious.
Wow, hey, we were back in the day.
That was actually the first truly 3D game that I ever actually played. It was I didn't play Quake, but Sin was the one. Wasn't there a level where you were tiny and you were running around in like a yeah.
Yeah, it was like an Alice in Wonderland kind of thing.
We played that level endlessly.
We played that. That was probably the best thing about Sin. I'm actually proud of Sin. It was a if it weren't for Half-Life, Sin would be regarded as one of the groundbreaking games.
That's
Half-Life ate our lunch. Half-Life was amazing, and it came out 2 to 3 weeks after we did. It was just terrible.
Not great timing.
I've never been so depressed in my life. Like, I'm not really a depressive type person, but that was rough. Like, we got the Half-Life build, like the CD or whatever, and we played it, and we're like shaking our heads, just constantly like, holy shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, you had a really good game, and then they
had the game of the decade,
right?
Or the game of the century, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Half-Life.
Yeah,
was
2 weeks after my game. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, my game, our game.
Hey, but at least you got it out there for 2 weeks beforehand because
exactly. For 2 weeks, we were the best game ever.
A week after, you would have been nothing.
But it was funny because patching games, like, it's changed so much now. Like, it's almost expected. But Sin set a precedent for having the largest patch ever known at that point. Like, patches back then were like maybe 1 to 2 megabytes.
Right.
Megabytes. Ours was something like 35 megabytes, which was unheard of back in the 90s. Like,
well, yeah, back then, 35 meg would have taken me
hours to download.
Oh yeah, like 2-3 hours.
That's all. It says right here.
What you got? Wikipedia or
the screen? The explanation for the multitude of bugs is the game was rushed to meet the 1998 Christmas season in an attempt to beat Half-Life to the market.
Huh. That might be accurate.
Yeah.
Might be accurate.
These shortcomings, coupled with the great success of Half-Life, resulted in Sin not achieving as much success as developers had hoped, although it did attain a moderate amount of sales during the 1998 Christmas period. Regardless, this game has managed to attain a very small cult following.
There are still
there you go. You have a very small.
There are people that still want Sin. I run into people every once in a while that show me their Sin tattoo or box or whatever.
Nice.
Every once in a while, it comes few and far between.
What else did you make besides Sin, Aldi?
Half-Life. I wish I meant Half-Life. Heavy Metal Fact 2.
Okay.
Which was a sort of rated R game.
I remember that game.
In my opinion, didn't go far enough. It was trapped in that weird kind of like, well, guys, if we're gonna do rated R game, let's go all in, right? Like, let's make a really like serious. You guys read Heavy Metal magazine? You saw Heavy Metal movie. The Heavy Metal movie was like seriously R, like heavy R, and we had none of that. So. Anyway.
So were you at Ritual then?
Yeah, I worked at Ritual. And then I went to 3D Realms and worked on Duke Nukem Forever, but I won't consider myself really a. I had nothing to do with that game coming out. I was gone well before it came out.
That's kind of funny because that phrase probably has 2 meanings in what you said. You worked on Duke Nukem Forever.
I worked on it for 5 years. 5 years from 2000. I quit Ritual in 2000, and I quit 3D Realms in the end of 2005.
Wait a minute. It says that Heavy Metal Fact 2 was the Gathering of Developers was the publisher.
Yeah, it was the publisher. The Ritual Entertainment was the developer.
Oh, yeah.
So Scott, you friendly with like Tom and what's his name, Mike Wilson?
We weren't like friends, I wouldn't say, and that's not trying. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but we didn't really hang. I mean, I knew
them. Man isn't really friends with anyone.
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself friends with him, and like we didn't hang out. No. Yeah, but I know we knew each other. We worked for Ritual, and Ritual was a part of Gathering developers. So I remember actually one time I got to sit in a pitch meeting because Gathering developers was an interesting idea. It was the developers deciding. The conglomerate of developers deciding what to publish.
Yeah.
So instead of a publisher like, accounting for, like this, I don't know how publishers decide what games to make. I really don't. But the cool thing about Gathering developers was the developers themselves would evaluate the pitches. And I remember sitting in on a couple pitch meetings, like as a kind of like, I wasn't an owner or anything. Only the owners were really like they had the power to make or break a game, or I'd say should sign a game or whatever. But I got to sit on pitch meetings, and it was really cool to see some of the games that never have seen the light of day, like the pitches for it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish that game would have came out when the ones I sat on the pitches for. It's so cool. Yeah, it was a different life.
Yeah. Trip down memory lane.
Sir Bob wants to know, what part of the code did you do for Sin?
I was primarily a multiplayer coder, and I also did the. In Sin, I did a lot. We did everybody did everything when I was at Ritual. Everybody did everything, like graphics, gameplay, networking, multiplayer, like every little bit of the Quake engine I knew. We used Quake 3. Or no, it was Quake 2 back then. We used Quake 2, Quake 3. Can't remember.
Scott, you a gamer today?
Oh yeah, yep, for sure. I'm done with No Man's Sky. I heard you guys talking about it earlier.
Yeah, I haven't even bought it, actually.
10 hours, done. Thank you, Lance, for spoiling the ending, by the way. As always, Lance, the spoiler.
I gave plenty of...
Oh, did you get warning? I guess when I hit the button, the warning had already passed.
I enjoyed it. Like I said, I enjoyed it.
That spoiler, to me, I kind of suspected it based on the language in the game. Like there was some language alluding to what you said.
And, like I said, I have Madden now, so I don't care.
I must have missed it when I took it. What's the ending? That you get bored and you delete it off your computer? Is that the ending?
No, the ending. Spoilers. Oh,
no, don't say it. Don't say it.
Spoiler.
You don't need to say it again.
Don't say it.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Don't ruin it for the others.
Here's the thing. That game will be great in like 3 years.
Well, here's the deal. You know what's
2 to 3 years, that game will have so much extra crap tagged into it.
What's going to happen? Awesome. What's going to happen is everybody's going to go back to every single interview that Sean Murray guy gave.
They've already done that. They've already go look for the compilation.
Where basically,
YouTube,
like,
it's terrible. I believe being the front of that company has to be really hard. I mean, terrible on his life because everybody hates him now and like.
But here's the deal.
It probably feels like everybody hates him. There are definitely. I think the game is pretty awesome for what it does. It's not a great game. The game part is not as good as it could be. The technology, I don't even know how they're doing some of the stuff they're doing.
Yeah, didn't you always expect...
What they're going to do, and then you can have your comment. What they're going to do is No Man's Sky will become a mild success. And
it's already a success. They sold millions of copies.
Right? Well, yeah. So, and they've said, like they all say, well, we're going to keep adding stuff, and we're going to support this, and they're going to do that as long as it's economically viable. But what those people do, those Hello Games people, what they're going to do is they're going to probably dismantle Hello Games. They're going to sell their, code or the proprietary thing for like the procedural universe, like basically so other people can take that
and hack on it
and
make a game.
And they're going to make a bunch of money off of that, and then they're going to like retreat into the background, find some other people to be the faces of some other new developing thing, and they're going to create something.
Right? It could also be like Minecraft.
It can't be Minecraft because you can't. It isn't as you can't. I mean, if they ever had a situation where you could create colonies or something, or you could like actually.
There's so many things they could do with that game.
But they ultimately just said no because they're just like because of the fact that like you
had to put the game out. We come from the world of you read it yourself. We had to make the Christmas rush before Half-Life came out.
Well,
I mean
it's the thing is
the realities of being out of money.
How disappointing was it? I mean, and I'll fully admit that this is disappointing. Like, you kind of had this, like, when I started playing it, I had this feeling like, oh my gosh, they're going to have, like all these different resources. And then all of a sudden you realize there's, like, 12. I mean, it's like, all of a sudden it's just like, oh,
And you can't really do anything with them.
Yeah, you can use them for these, and then
the crafting system is disappointing.
And totally, like I had the impression going in that you were going to be able to like mix and match different parts and like create different things. Like, so if I took this barrel and I added to this battery and I put this stock on it, then I can make this gun that did this. I had the impression that if I took this ship and I added this engine, I added these wings, and I had this gun, it would be my own ship. But instead, it's just like, yeah, you can make stuff, but you can't really make stuff. Did you know that, like, now they've realized that there actually isn't even a graphic for you in the world?
Why bother? Why bother? If you're never going to see an entity of another person in the game, then you would not waste your time. That is a non-trivial problem to solve, to see another player in the world. To basically turn it into an MMO, and it's not.
No, it isn't. It is, yeah. and that's tough too, because like basically when they say
it'll be cool in like 2 years. Let's do a time frame. Let's say, here we go. What's today's date? Let's set a Google Calendar. Let's go August 24th, 2018. I'm setting a Google Calendar event right now. Assuming we're all buddies still there.
Well, hopefully you'll still remember me when you're worth 160 million. So like
going 2 years into the future, right here. I'm setting a Google Calendar event.
Yeah, and you're gonna get a beep, and you're gonna say, "Oh yeah, I remember that piece of crap."
So it's not a piece of crap. It's a great piece of technology.
Are we making predictions? Are we making predictions?
Yeah, I'm gonna write down what everybody's predicting. So let me create the event here. August 24th. That's a Friday, by the way. Well, you know what? I'm going to go back to August 22nd.
Because the Alaboom will still be going?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be cool.
That would be awesome.
People think it's insane that we do one a week as it is.
Hey, we've done it for a year.
Yeah. With no followers. Well, no, I should say.
You got 20 people watching.
No, I should say this. We have very, very steadfast, beloved followers, and which I think is amazing that people actually want to watch us. But regardless.
All right, David, what's your prediction?
I predict, and I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but I predict that very few people will be playing No Man's Sky in 2 years.
Well,
do you think?
Wow,
so let's say
going on in a limb as people are like leaving the game in droves right now. But you're going to say like, 2 years from now that like.
No, I don't think it's gonna. I just don't think it's going to get that same sort of Minecrafty sort of support where they enhance the game. I think they're going to walk. I think they're going to mostly walk away from the game. The developers.
Oh, you think the developers will be like, okay, we did our thing, we're done.
Well,
we're on something else.
I always had the suspicion. I mean, I was always impressed with it, but I never expected it to be much more than kind of a big glorified tech demo. And that tech is impressive, but I kind of always expected there wasn't going to be much game there. And I think they've spent the last year and a half trying to take what they had and put as much game in there as possible.
For sure. You can see it at the end. I mean, it's yeah.
But I'm still really impressed with it, and I never wanted it to be an MMO either. I kind of thought, are you familiar with Journey? Have you heard of that game on the PlayStation?
Yeah.
So that concept of maybe seeing a person at one point, passing by, just that concept that we're all in there, but we're never going to see each other.
So do you think? Really cool. So you don't think any advancements will be made? It'll be like minimal, if anything.
I think they'll do stuff, but I think it'll be it'll be only for like the next 8 months, and I don't think their place is small. I don't think they're going to put a lot of investment in it.
See, you said Journey. So.
All right, Lance, what's your prediction?
It'll be dead.
Keep it short.
In 2 years, No Man's Sky will be dead. But the people that developed it will have... No, I'll say this. Who knows if people develop it? People will have taken the idea of No Man's Sky, the idea of a universe that the players are actually actively creating and growing, and like a giant universe at that. And there will be games out there that have this procedurally generated entity that people will be creating, and people will, and the thing about it though is that it won't be fun. It still won't be fun. It'll be like because here's the deal. Because the moment you allow the human race the ability to really, really dig in and get their fingers messy and get to mess things. It brings out the absolute worst in human nature, and people are just going to grief people, and they're going to like mess with people, and so you're going to have a game that either is going to be completely open, where people are just like going to like put their boots on people's necks and just and make it totally unfun unless you're like part of that really, really high 1% of the people that play, or they're going to have like little hyper controls that are in there constantly that are just going to prevent the whole, like, the real openness of the game. So it won't really be open, and you're going to have this weird thing that you have to balance between the two things. And the thing is, it's one of the things, like I've always said this. The whole thing about an MMO is really, really fun. It's kind of cool. Like Warcraft, the idea of Warcraft is cool. Yes, there's like basically tons of stuff out there that you can interact with, and you can just go out and I'm going to kill these silly ogres for the next hour because they have this drop that I want. Okay, fine. It's just a grind, but people can get into it. They can enjoy it or whatever. But the MMOs aren't fun for like the casual players because they don't get to see the end game content, because you have to be part of a guild, you have to situate like groups of people to get together and go and do these things and what have you. And so like there's this like entire swath of content that they never get to experience and never see. I've always said if you could actually come up with a game like an MMO where everybody would play, you could interact with those people if you want to, but you could also play it solo and actually see the entire game, I think people would really like that. But you can't do that. It's like there's this weird...
That's what World of Warcraft.
Well,
that's how I play it.
Well, yeah, because it's ridiculous. I mean, is there content now that you still can't reach just because you need to be...
Yeah, I can't reach the raid stuff, but if I want to raid, I don't have to have a guild. I can just looking for raid and just do a pickup and see the content, and it'll just queue me in one, so I don't have to talk to a single person.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it's
yeah, they perfected World of Warcraft for a single player now. I
don't think it's not perfected.
Well, it's easier. Like I never saw a single thing beyond level 40. So
yeah, I'm up to what is it, 14 level 100 characters now.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so here's my take.
You got
a prediction, Keith?
Yeah, in 2 years the servers will be non-existent and the game will be dead because they will have shut down the servers within 2 years. Because
if you discover stuff, it'll just say, "Hey, you discovered it."
Oh, you won't be able to because when it wants to talk to home base, it's not going to be able to talk, or they will have patched it to work offline only. Because if it has to talk to home base, it's not going to work anymore because they're not going to pay to keep the servers up because they're not going to keep selling copies to keep paying the bills. If Disney Infinity can't cut it, then this isn't going to.
Oh, yeah, that's true. All right, David Lowry, what do you got?
I got nothing. I don't play that crap.
I'm gonna write that down. I don't play that crap. We're going to read this 2 years from now and be like, oh, yeah, remember what David Lowry said. Okay, so here's my prediction. I think it's going to turn into like a Diablo, where you can join up with people. They're going to make a way for you to team up, not a full MMO, but like Diablo style, right? Where you can team up into a dungeon or an exploration set of quests where you can travel between planets and be on a starship crew. That's my prediction.
But will they sink the money into it to do
It'll be Star Trek the game.
I want to change my prediction to I think Scott's wrong.
We will check into... Here's the deal. Those guys have said, like... So I'm just putting myself in their position. They've said what they want, right? Publicly.
Uh-huh.
Like they want people to like meet each other. It's sort of they've hinted at like multiplayer, but there's no way to be a multiplayer game when you have an mostly infinite universe, or it might as well be infinite, right? It's not completely, but there's going to be ways to communicate with other people at some point. There has to be. For that game to even last to the end of this year, they're going to have to get that in soon. Like those, I bet you dollars to donuts they are doing that now. They are working their asses off, which sucks because as developers, when you just like crunched for 3 years or whatever these guys did, and then they're like, oh shit, the game is not good enough. We got to now work another like 6 months to make it like a good game or something that people want to play. I feel sorry for him. Like, that's where we were after Sin. Like,
Okay.
it was done, but then we had to, like, crunch for, like, another month to fix the bugs.
I have to elaborate on your question then. So, will this change that you're predicting be as free content, as paid DLC, as a pure expansion, or as a sequel?
They've already sold it as, like, a top-tier AAA title. So I think that first upgrade is going to have to be free. So once they patched in the game of Diablo, I'm just saying Diablo because I can't, or Star Trek or whatever,
Sure.
then they'll start releasing like, oh, hey, here's an expansion where you get to explore this part of the galaxy, and we've got it pre-populated with all these cool encounters and all these cool monsters and all these cool things to collect. Like, that's the game. That's the model. If I was king of what's the name of that company?
Hello Games.
Good Games.
No good games.
Hello Games.
Hello Games.
No good games.
I don't know. That was for a Freudian slip.
That would be a fantastic name for a game company.
No good games.
Because they're all great. See, there you go.
Keith, you look like you're enjoying some sort of future virtual reality simulation.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
All right, August 26th, 2018, guys. We're gonna have a one way or another. We'll be talking about.
Tell you what, we'll have a reveal party. Scott will fly us in. Like I said, he's worth 160 million by then. He'll fly us in, and we'll go over these.
In 2 years, BGG-Con will actually last 365 days a year.
Yes, that's it. Oh, wait. Let's make predictions about what BGG-Con will be at 2 years from now. Okay, so I'll go first. It'll begin as Scott Alden is brought in on his throne, carried upon the backs of his slaves.
Where do you get this from?
With an opulent cape covering him as he holds a golden scepter.
I'm not writing that down.
You're not writing, Scott. Right?
I'm no. You write it down if you want to make such predictions. I'm not typing anymore. Yeah, Kabuki Kid's right. If it was a $30 like early access game, they would not be where they are right now.
What? Sitting on a bed full of money?
No Man's Sky. Yeah, probably.
They've made their money. Like, how many people pre-ordered the game? It's
a lot.
They made a ton of money off of that, and they are in a situation now where it's like they're just going to sell off their tech. I mean, they're going to sell all that work, all the programming they did.
But why wouldn't they want to own that tech and be like?
Well, maybe they will. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll offer it up, saying, "Hey, we'll allow this to be co-opted, and we'll even like maybe develop it for your new idea for a game. But then you got to pay us for all the work that we did to get this to this point." And then
they may offshoot a studio to do that. Like they probably have enough money now to offshoot a studio in some foreign country, some small foreign country.
Kyle Seeley says. He says, I haven't paid full price in years. There's just nothing I can't wait for anymore.
That's true. If you're a patient gamer, just wait till the Steam sale.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, is my new Fallout out yet? Is Nuka World out yet?
Are you getting Deus Ex, Keith?
No, I've never played a Deus Ex game.
Oh, man.
I played
I'm missing
one.
out.
I thought were okay, but I'm not a big Deus Ex guy either. It's just kind of like...
I am a Fallout junkie, though. So.
Yeah, Fallout is an insta-buy for me. It always has been. I think Fallout is just...
What about Fallout 4, though? Did you guys like it?
Oh, God.
Oh, God, yeah, I did.
It was so good. I mean, that it actually gave me, like, decisions and stuff that were, like, important.
I played through it 3 times already, so...
What?
Yeah.
I barely played intro. I couldn't hold my...
I enjoyed it, but it's too much content for me. I can't get
What's with the base building thing? Is that a thing? Like, do you have to do that?
Nah, but it's a good place to hold my 40 suits of power armor.
Yeah, you don't have to, but it keeps tugging at you to do it.
Yeah. Like build 50 whatevers.
You don't have to.
Where, like the people that made like the base that is just like ridiculous, like literally like abso-freaking-lutely ridiculous what they were able to do with what they were able to do, like giant skyscrapers and things like that. I mean, like just that they were able to create. There was a person that like said that they started up the game and they started up a brand new game and they were like, I'm not gonna leave the first town. Like you get set up in that first town and you get it going, and they were just gonna see what they could do to like basically just create that town and just play Fallout 4 without ever leaving and without ever like seeing anything else. And it was just like, well, no, it was kind of interesting because they were able to like actually gain levels pretty well. You know,
yeah.
Does Fallout gain levels, but I don't get to see the story, which is.
Does Fallout 4 have as much as Fallout 3?
Oh yeah.
Like there was like Fallout 3 to me was like, that's what like No Man's Sky should have been.
Fallout 4 was like, didn't they say it was like 3 times the size of Fallout 3 or something like that?
Yeah, it's big.
There's a lot of content in that game.
Man, maybe I'll go back and play it then.
That opening scene where you come out on the on like the top of the building and the airships go over, and it's like the first time that happens, you're like, holy crap! Because it's like the first time ever like there's something in the sky. That was just a great moment. I mean, there's like little signature moments in Fallout 4 that were just fantastic.
I remember in Fallout 3, I think I spent like 8 hours stuck in one of those skyscrapers. I just could not get out of it.
Well, you know how you fix that.
It was like where the Rangers were.
Nice.
And that felt to me like I've sunk myself into this game and I'm like embedded in this probably like what is a minuscule amount of content that took me hours to escape from. And I get out the door and I'm like, you know, it must be like when a person's walking through like the desert and they see an oasis or something, like, finally I'm out, I'm free.
You know, I just like the whole things with like the I love the idea of just wandering around with my dog.
Yeah, I like the fact I can go do whatever the hell I want, right? And I can play the game differently than you do, and the way my guy approaches combat is going to be completely different the way your gal's going to approach combat, you know? I can hide in the shadows and snipe people in the head, or I can just run in there with a super sledge. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah. I want to see the next Elder Scrolls game, because I mean, they're talking about how it's going to be like twice the size of Fallout 4, which
I was thinking about going back to Skyrim.
I'm gonna end up paying the like whatever it is, the $40 or $50 to play it on my PS4 again.
Me too.
Skyrim was such
What was the game before Skyrim? What was the name of that one?
Oblivion.
Oblivion.
And this is somebody said this about Oblivion, and I had to agree with them. Oblivion was the greatest game that almost nobody beat.
Oh, I beat it.
I played it a lot, but I never beat it.
Yeah, because you got to a point where it was you'd done so much superfluous crap that you'd seen it all.
You were godlike.
And it was just like, and all of a sudden you weren't really challenged by anything left anymore, and so
Skyrim was so much better.
Well, and Skyrim was such a better game, but I mean, you'd get wrapped up. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I would just get wrapped up in leveling up my guy and leveling up skills in Skyrim so much. It'd be like,
oh yeah,
like, oh, I'm gonna spend the next 5 hours working on alchemy, and I felt like it was actually fun to do. You know,
no,
just
it was not. I had boxes filled with thousands of items.
Dude,
I'm so weird. I really like that grind. I feel like this weird sense of like satisfaction when I like have maxed out a skill. You know, like I was just like, okay, like I'm gonna work on my stealth or I'm gonna work on my archery. It was just like that to me, like even though I'm not playing against other people, I'm playing against something that the computer's creating and I'm just seeing in front of me. When I reached that level, I realized that like I've kind of climbed that mountain, you know, and I've gotten to that point, and it just that pleases me. It's stupid, and I realize it, but it's neat and it's fun, and the actual storyline doesn't really matter that much to me.
So this has totally reminded me of something board game related. Have any of you played Role Player yet?
Oh yeah.
No, in fact, I meant to buy a copy of that based on you guys' review.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
I missed the Kickstarter.
I did a Kickstarter video of that a long time ago.
Oh, did you?
I not practice. When did it come out?
I don't even know if it is out yet.
It's not out yet. It hasn't.
Okay.
It has. I think it's.
It looks like August. Or when did this thing fund? Though that's the. I always look back at the date of a Kickstarter that I completely missed. to see what was going on in my life at that point, such that I missed it.
Basically, the game about making your character for a game.
Hey, BGG-Con. How about that?
It's on Tabletopia right now, so I may have to try it on there.
Yeah, it's
It was
a
pretty
lot of fun. I mean, with all this talk of Skyrim, it totally brings back that feeling. It is making your character and a lot of fun. Ripe for expansion, though.
Yeah, it's just it actually is a pretty good game as far as the actual like game of it or whatever.
Have you ever played anything like it, Lance?
I have. I mean, nothing's coming to mind. I mean, it's like it's still really cool. I mean, it's one of those games that it kind of defies genres in a weird way.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's a well done game. And like I said, it was totally a not off the wall. I guess I don't want to say that, but I mean, it was definitely a an ingenious design. And the sad thing is that it'll vanish. I mean, I don't mean that to be mean to Keith, because I think Keith's a really awesome guy and he made a really fun game, but it's just one of those games that, like, you know, if like Asmodee had made it or something like that, it probably would like sell, you know, several thousand copies. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see it catching on, you know.
It's unfortunate. We said that same thing in the review, is that had he timed it better and had a nice giant presence at Gen Con, he would have blown through units of that game at Gen Con. Absolutely blown through them.
Yep.
So it's a shame a lot of small
role
don't
player
really realize that opportunity that exists at Gen Con if they have the right combination.
Oh yeah, we were talking when we did the review of Vast a few weeks before Gen Con, and we were talking with Patrick a lot in the weeks leading up to it, and he was wondering how many copies should I bring. I have no idea how many copies of Vast I should bring to Gen Con, and I mean, they ended up blowing through those things. I think in the second day they were gone.
Mm-hmm.
They still had some Saturday, I think. But
Saturday.
Rarely.
But they were. I think he brought like 500, which was a pretty significant quantity for him. And I think role player had just as much opportunity to sell, for sure. Far more accessible game as well.
I'm trying to figure out how to learn Vast. I don't know if I've been reading the rules and I'm just like, do I need to learn every rule, like for every?
You gotta just sit down and muddle through a couple rounds with people. The best thing to do is give people their role for a night, and then have them come back, and just so everyone knows one character.
That's a game that desperately needs really good how to play videos.
Yeah. One game?
Yeah, I actually bumped into someone the other day. He's having someone completely rewrite his rule book.
Not Patrick. Somebody else?
Yeah, someone. I bumped into the woman here in a local game store who said she'd just been contracted to completely write a rule book for them for, I guess, their next printing.
I think there's a market out there for a rulebook / video creation service. Unfortunately, it will probably take a lot more time than I think you'd probably be able to charge for it. And a lot of people don't have the money for it.
That's the major issue right there. I mean,
yeah.
You know, most of us who do stuff like this for a living, we make $150 an hour or more, and the board game industry wants to pay about a quarter of that.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't keep the doors open. So, you know, I know that the DICE guys are trying to work on something for that too, but
yeah, they did a demo at Gen Con.
Right.
But they have funding from the state.
Yep. From the country. Yeah. But that won't fund the whole project.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, there is some of that. If there was people who were willing to do a big enough collective, so to speak, that was willing to do it part time, somebody could put that together and maybe monetize it a little bit. But that's still a labor of love.
Yeah. I mean, Rodney can't keep up, I'm sure.
No.
Well, and honestly,
and his production values are going through the roof, and they are probably taking him 10 times longer than when he first started.
Right, and because people ask me all the time about that, and then they say, how much is it? And I tell them, and their jaw just drops to the floor. I'm like, this is work, guys. So,
you've opened a can of worms with David right now, so I'm just going to step back and listen.
Triggered on to David's hot topic.
So, well, I mean, anything. I think anybody who's professional at what they do should, be paid what they're worth. So my feeling is if you're going to charge full price for your product and you're going to get paid what you get paid because that's your salary, then you should honor the other people that you're paying to help you make that profit instead of trying to lowball them all the time. But I understand.
Does that mean that you think maybe board games need to be more expensive?
Huh?
You think board games then are underpriced as a product?
No, but I think that there's I see areas where people spend too much money and waste money, and I also see where people are rushing to get games out the door instead of focusing on marketing them properly and actually creating greater sales, as opposed to trying to sell through a run every quarter and move on to the next game. The industry is very scared to spend money, but it's young and it will grow and it will learn, and all the things that every industry goes through when it kind of hits its critical mass. So it's just I just struggle with people who lowball. That's all. That's if somebody wants me to put out a product that would normally cost me $4,000 and they're telling me they don't want to pay more than $500, I'm like, well then I don't want to pay more than 50 cents for your game.
Or you have to scale the game price up to match the cost of production. Right?
Yeah, I mean the studio here in Nashville, it's $6,000 a month just for the space rent, and the amount of time it takes for me to do people's videos. If I operated at the cost that they wanted, I'd shut my doors down in the first month. So it just doesn't work like that. And I know there's plenty of guys who can do it out of their basement. I can do it out of this room. But even still, my basic kit was $6,000. Why would I want to have to do 20 or 40 videos to recover the cost on that? So it's a bit alarming, the amount of money they think that is fair. But then I just say, well, this is the level of video quality you get. If you want to pay $400 or $500, you're going to get a $400 or $500 level video, and just leave it at that. If they want all the 3D work and all the fancy stuff, that they have to pay for it.
Yeah, like you said, I think the industry is still evolving, and I think it's still trying to find the price for things is still evolving. Like I feel like things are a little bit low. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it probably is true.
Well, it's very true. But I mean, I think it's not just our industry. I mean, everybody's going through it. Professional photographers.
Like $60 for No Man's Sky.
Right.
Cost that studio how many millions of dollars per year?
So yeah,
expense back.
I don't think it's a board game phenomenon. I just think that my kind of usual go-to quote is the board game industry sees itself as a non-profit. And get as much help as you can for free or as absolutely cheap as you can, while we try to create our ultimate goal of being a successful business. And there's in some instances for the smaller guys I totally see that, but for some of the bigger guys they have more than enough bank to pay normal studio rates or normal rates for any other professional. They just don't want to do it.
Well, the industry isn't making them do it. I mean,
right.
It's
right. No, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to get in the industry, so they'll do it for free or for nothing.
That's the weird thing too, and I realized that David, you and I had a long conversation about this fairly recently, and that's just it. I mean, it's just like you have people are very, very they are very passionate about videos, and they're very passionate about blogs and their podcasts and what have you, and that's good. I mean, we need people that are passionate about this hobby. We need them to be interested in doing this, but we do. there's a lot of people, like you said, that are just they're putting a lot of effort into these things, and they're and giving it away, and which is fine. I mean, they if they want to, they can, but it really, you might eventually reach a point where
move your mic a little bit, Lance. Your mic is a little.
You're a little bit weird. So you move your mic.
I couldn't understand you.
Well, here's the deal. So
that has nothing to do with the mic.
Here's the deal. So you have, like, it's just no other industry right now. The influencers of the industry, the people that are like writing the blogs, they're recording the podcasts, they're making the videos, they're doing the reviews, whatever. No other industry that I can think of has, like, basically the big three that like, and I'm talking Richard Ham, the Dice Tower, ostensibly Tom Vassell, and Rodney, relying on the consumers to pay their salaries.
Right.
I mean, that's just crazy. Yeah. I mean, like, what? Can you imagine
video game streamers making a good living now, like just by streaming video games and not even having anybody really support it,
but
through ad sales.
Tom's the biggest one, and he's at what? I'll call it 150,000 because I haven't looked at subscribers. There's like 50 channels on firearms that have 1 million subscribers each. And that's
we are still a small fish
nothing
in a gigantic pond.
We are nothing.
Yeah,
there's so many channels. The video games, millions of.
Yes, go watch some I Can Has Cheeseburger videos, and you will be dwarfed by the.
Oh, my son will watch a video about some new toy, and it's like some
guy
family
unboxed it, right?
Well, yeah, it's like some family with like 3 kids, threw a camcorder on a tripod and recorded their kids playing with this thing, and it's got 17 million views because they tagged their video with the 17 keywords they needed. So when somebody types in brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toy, it's like the first video that comes up, and it's just like I'm like,
we are dwarfed.
I am reviewing the wrong thing,
Yes, we're all in the wrong business. We're all in the wrong.
Which gets a little depressing.
I wouldn't want anything different than myself, but yes.
Well, like I had a discussion. I had a discussion with somebody that works, and I have these discussions on a fairly regular basis with people that are influencers, that are podcasters and video reviewers and written reviewers and whatever, and they're like, I've been doing this for this long. And I try to make sure that I put content out constantly, and I'm doing this, that, and the other thing, and it's just like, and nobody seems to want to follow me or give me views or.
Yeah. Because there's 8 million of you now.
Yeah, and it's just.
I ran across a very high quality channel the other day through Barry, one of Barry's like tubers or whatever his group is, one of those guys, and he's putting out these playthroughs that are like super awesome. With like 50 views, 100 views, like just so.
Right.
Yeah. Like he's probably spending 10 hours per episode.
And that's, and that's great that he's doing it, but that's dumb. That's so. I know
here's the thing: if there weren't any of those people, then like if everybody was doing it just for the views, there's that too, right? Like there would be nothing.
Right.
Because nobody really, the only person really getting views is Tom. Just to be like in the board game.
There's a mantra that we have, and it's called, you have to be the first, you have to be the best, or you have to be different. Nobody's the first. Scott and Tom were the first. Nobody's even close to the best, unfortunately, and because nobody is the first, nobody's watching to be the best, or nobody's really sharing the best content. And then nobody's really doing anything different. The board game industry is full of a bunch of copycats. So until somebody comes up with something that's completely different, you're not going to get a whole lot of views. Everybody wants to just, do the same old, and get a bunch of stuff. So
that's true, but there also could be fame involved, like a famous person like Will Wheaton getting involved in this gets views, right?
Right.
He's doing nothing different.
That's been my whole thing all along, Scott. And I have talked to everybody on the planet about this because we have all that in place right here in Nashville, but nobody wants to pay for it. So the board game industry doesn't want to pay for somebody to promote their game. When we talk about how we're in the wrong industry, we're really not. We're in the prime industry that really has to explode yet. So
yeah.
The problem is that nobody wants to put it out there to explode. Everybody's afraid. And the problem with Will Wheaton is because he did it all for free. The industry's still waiting for other people to do it for free.
He did the first season for free, and then the second season was crowdfunded. Third season is basically paid for by Legendary.
Right, but I mean, the industry itself isn't really paying for it. Like nobody's paying him $5,000 a video or whatever. So when I look at my web series, which really is a copycat of theirs, except for it's me and all the musicians in Nashville playing the game, for me to produce an episode costs $16,000 minimum. That's not even paying the talent, the people around the table.
That's a significant amount of money for this.
Right, and for
you can go to Gen Con and act like a king for that money.
Right. So, but the difference is that if I have Brad Paisley sitting at my table, I just blew Will Wheaton's ass out of the water as far as the normal number of views. And if you have Middle America watching, this, which is his audience, the families, the moms, and all over, they are going to turn around and take a look at that game. And there's, even if you only got 2 or 3% of those viewers, you're going to be selling tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of units. But nobody wants to pay for it. So,
by the way, Ant Lab Games is the name of that channel I was looking up.
What was it?
Ant Lab.
Okay.
It's a high quality channel that is like barely getting viewed. But yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, but like, you've got really only one major celebrity right now who's into board gaming, and he doesn't really do anything besides tabletop, right? And he's not really in it for the community. You know what I mean? Like it's his thing. He does it for himself.
Right.
And I guess he's sharing the love of games through that, and that maybe I'm being a little I don't know if that's the word. But he's never around anywhere besides tabletop, right? He's not like doing other stuff like everybody else does. That he's not like doing interviews or whatever and promoting the hobby like 24/7 like we all do.
No. He's not, but I mean, he had an audience, and he had a vehicle.
It's a great audience. Yeah, a lot of those people are now BGG fans. Like people have told me they found tabletop, they found BGG.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right, but if there wasn't the because number one, Will didn't create this. What's her name did, but if they didn't have that vehicle where YouTube and Microsoft was paying for all that stuff back then, we wouldn't have it. That's
right. YouTube funded the first season.
Yeah.
Remember that was the $1 million YouTube projects? Yeah.
Yeah. So, we wouldn't have had that either. So somebody's paying for all that stuff. The board game industry just doesn't want to do it. And for those of us who have the capability to do it, we can't afford to do it for free. It's just that simple. So, we could use a mix of crowdfunding, but the industry's got to pony up some money or they're never going to break out of their little backyard. It's just that simple. You can't expect to have big sales and not market. You just can't.
So you say.
I mean, anything's possible. But, I mean, in general, you might have one or two things that break out.
Try to light a match in a wet bar of soap. My grandmother always used to say that. They said when somebody said nothing's impossible, she said, "Try light a match on a wet bar of soap."
Season 4 was funded by.
You just ruined a good memory of my grandmother. Thank you.
Season 4 is funded by Legendary Entertainment. I don't know what. Sir Bob says season 2 and 3 was funded by Community, but I thought they only did one season of crowdfunding.
I think they just did one season.
They did one season of crowdfunding. Yeah, the first 2 seasons were paid for.
And then season 3 was crowdfunded. Season 4 is Legendary.
Right.
I mean, they're owned by Legendary now, right?
Right. Right, and they don't work with less than $50,000 budgets now. So.
Oh, I can't imagine a movie production studio like Legendary doing that show for anything less than that kind of money. Like they have to hire
I think
and stuff, and
if I remember looking at it right, I think each episode of Tabletop costs around $35,000 each. I could be wrong, but I think that's the numbers that I saw. And out in California, everything's more expensive.
Okay.
So me charging normal studio rates, that's why I can get it down to about 16. But because where I am in the country, but other places it's just going to be that much more expensive. But the real cost is the talent. It's not so much the production; it's the talent. So if you want real people who have big influence, you have to pay for it. They aren't going to do it for free.
I wonder if they did appearance fees for that show. They had a lot of.
Well, what they
I don't know if they had anybody what I would call famous, but they had definitely some internet famous people.
What they told me, and who knows if they're telling the truth, was that they offer a donation to a charity of their choice, but everybody comes on for free.
Okay.
So that donation could be $250 or $500.
So some kind of honorarium.
Yeah. Which is, that works out great for them. That gives them a lot of leverage and keeps costs way down.
Kabuki Kid is now my favorite fan.
And why is that?
Something very nice about Tabletop. Lincoln does Tabletop, right, for me, for free. They spend a ton of free time doing it, and she says she likes it better than Tabletop. Yeah. But yeah, Tabletop is a labor of love. We spent some money on setting up studio. Luckily, Lincoln had a studio in his house that was not being used, and we converted it into a studio.
Right.
But if you have to rent a studio,
it's ridiculous.
Forget it. Yeah. But we're still young.
That's the weird thing. It's like if you're, like we've been in this hobby for a year, and it's like, or a year. Like 10 years, like me, and it's just like, and it's still young, But it's been such a part of my life for so long.
I started BGG in '99, 2000, really.
Yeah, you started with another guy. You started with another guy, though. What happened there?
I don't know. You tell me.
Almost. I thought maybe.
Believe me, Lance. Yes. Well.
What? Who? Huh? Who? What?
I don't know who that you're talking about.
Okay.
I think
certainly did, like I said, it's certainly changed, and it's really changed in the past few years. Like I would say the past 3. Is Gen Con converted from an RPG primarily? Like Keith, you've been going for a long time. Like, am I right?
I think this is my 8th Gen Con and I started board games because of Gen Con, and that was 3 Gen Cons in. Because I originally went to Gen Con to look at video games and RPGs. And when I first went up there, the exhibit hall was the hall where the events were this year, but not even that entire hall. Like,
and what's basically
past, yeah, it was a lot smaller, and it was probably 80% RPG, and maybe not quite that much.
Wizards was there, right? Wizards was better back then.
Wizards was there, but it was mostly RPGs, a lot of miniatures, because I remember early on seeing War Store and stuff like that.
Was WizKids there too?
WizKids may or may not have been there. I can't remember. Probably were, but like EA was there, Blizzard was there. A lot of big video games was. Gears of War was there when it first came out. A lot of stuff like that. And then there were some board games. I saw some board games. But then the next year there were more board games. And then the next year the video games were gone. There were still a lot of board games, or a lot of RPGs. But then I started noticing board games. And then every year I've gone, the entire growth that we see in that hall is all board games. And RPGs has actually declined. And RPGs declined.
The RPG stuff's there, but it's definitely spotty, right?
Now, like costumes and stuff have grown. Also, there's more and more vendors selling like clothes. There's more and more flea market-y type vendors, but it's the board games that have exploded. I mean, it's just not even close.
People don't have time. RPGs take too long to play and create.
And people don't want to read those damn rule books.
I love reading.
I love reading rule books.
Well,
we
love reading them, but the average gamer doesn't want to read through, manuals and stuff to play.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
you have to be a certain type of freak to read the dungeon crawl, manual or whatever.
Who's doing laundry?
I am. Sorry.
Oh, no, I just heard it in the back. You know,
it's definitely laundry.
I was just like, I heard the little clink, clank, clank, clink, clank, clink.
So, what you're saying is like, that first 10 years were up to let's just say up to 2005, pretty infantile board game industry. It was tiny. Mm-hmm. You go to Essen, you could handle all of Essen in one day, no problem. Gen Con wasn't on our radar at all, zero. And now it's just, you cannot miss a convention. You can't miss Origins, you can't miss Gen Con, you can't miss Essen. Really can't miss Gamma Trade Show if you're a business. That's 4 major conventions a year, plus maybe BGG Con is in that ballpark. I wouldn't say it is a must go see, but a lot of people come.
What about PAX?
And PAX is starting to be a thing. I was just talking to one Jennifer, who helped run our Hot Games Room at Gen Con, and she's tapped to run a Hot Games Room at PAX. So they are definitely amping that up.
Yeah, there's lots of people who aren't board gamers at all in my life who went to this past Gen Con, and both families that I'm talking about dropped probably $200 the one day they went buying board games. And these aren't people who are into the hobby.
Mm-hmm. They're just casual.
Yeah, but the thing, one of them is my brother and his family, and he's since trying to spread the word, on Facebook, saying, hey, there's this whole... It was eye-opening for him. He had no concept that the board game industry was as big as it is. I mean,
we're the best-kept secret.
Yeah, right. He's been to several trade shows, and he came and he was like, the first day he was there, I can remember, he was just sitting there saying, wow, I had no idea what a business this was. I mean, it's eye-opening to people, for sure.
No, Gen Con was pretty spectacular this year, I have to say. I did not get to experience all of it, but what I did when I was just walking down the hall, I was just my jaw was dropped everywhere. It was pretty cool.
So if you look at my screen, this is Gen Con 2010's exhibit hall.
2010.
I believe this was the first year in the new big exhibit hall.
Right.
And it is a fraction of
what it is now. Yeah, that's tiny compared to what they have now.
And so, see that big corner where it says Indie Gen Con Best 4 Days in Gaming?
Yep.
That was blocked off. That was actually the library that year.
Oh, okay.
And then it was a lot bigger than it is now. But you've got Lego was there with their games. And so this is when it was starting to turn board games. I mean, you've got Mayfair's got a big presence. You've got FFG has a big presence. If you look where it says Troll and Toad on the right-hand side, and you look at 2119 above that, I don't have the key on here, I'm 99% sure that's Asmodee. And that's all Asmodee had then. That one little booth.
That's just 6 years ago.
Yeah, that was 6 years ago. That was my first year going to Gen Con, being into board games, was that year. And so, I mean, it's nothing compared to what it is now. I mean, it was Fantasy Flight, Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, you could do that hall in a day. That looks to me like the Origins hall, maybe a little bigger than
I could do that hall in 2 hours, probably.
Yeah.
Because you got this, that whole art show in Authors Avenue, then it's just like a ghost land down there. And half of this stuff was just shirt and costume vendors.
There's a lot of t-shirts for sure.
Let me. We missed the giant Tower of Teas, though. That wasn't.
Where the Tower of Teas?
It was there, but it wasn't a tower anymore. It said Tower of Teas, but it's no longer a tower.
Yeah, I missed that.
Maybe they were asked to bring it down because it was blocking.
So here's Barry Allen. Barry Allen in the comments said that
the Flash is here.
Yeah, that's what I said. So Barry Allen, not the best Flash, because we all know the best Flash is Jay Garrick. Okay, thank you. Anyway, Silver Age Flash, baby, winged helmet, and could actually tap into.
The slowest of all the Flashes.
He was the slowest of all the Flashes, but he was the one person that could actually tap into the Speed Force, and so if he wanted to, he could go faster than anyone. But he didn't do it. It was man, Jay Garrick. Anyway, I could talk for hours about Jay Garrick. He's like one of my all-time favorite superheroes. But anyway, and actually, when he finally did tap into the Speed Force, he actually then reversed his aging, and he was able to actually then continue to be whatever. But then like his powers evolved and things like that. But anyway, so I'm going to sub-reference again. Jay Garrick was one of the best hero clicks to have in the first run of the DC hero clicks. The Jay Garrick rare was such a good hero to have on your team if you had him. He had like a speed of 20, and most people had speeds that topped out at 4, and he had the ability to actually like attack people as he went by. So with Jay Garrick, you could run around like the entire board and like hit somebody and then get back behind cover so they couldn't do anything to actually affect you. Great stuff. But anyway, he said, Barry Allen said, I could give a shit to see a semi-famous person playing a game while there are people doing the same thing with people that I think that are actually enjoying the game they are playing. While I agree that like I mostly would rather see my friends playing the game,
that doesn't grow the hobby.
That unfortunately is not. One of the most popular podcasts about role-playing games is Playing D&D with Porn Stars, which is a like porn star director / like technician in Los Angeles, who is a huge, as everybody types away madly, basically this guy is friends with strippers and porn stars and a bunch of women, and he has a show that is just they're all friends and like they play D&D, and it's called Playing D&D with Porn Stars. And why is it popular? Because they're porn stars.
Right.
And
this is the guy that was on our stream. Zach Sabbath.
Yeah.
The Blue Medusa guy.
And so see, the thing is, when you mentioned him as Zach Sabbath, I was like, I forgot where I knew that name was. Then I purchased the book or whatever, like all of a sudden it clicked for me. I was like, oh my gosh, that's where I know that guy from. So yeah,
well,
there
he
you
was
go.
On our stream. If you go search for Blue Medusa, Maze of the Blue Medusa, he was an interesting guy. For sure. Yep, there he is. Okay. That's the most popular podcast?
Well, no, it isn't the most popular, but it is a very, very popular podcast. And it is one of those things where people like say, oh, I wouldn't watch this, and it's like, I mean, fine, I understand you. Like it's one of those things where it's like people are very much in the mentality of, it's like, I don't want to watch. Whatever, some B-rate actor, go through this process or whatever. They want to see, like real gamers. But unfortunately, that's not necessarily the case for everybody. And the vast majority of people would rather watch a thing. Oh, wait a minute, girls who take their clothes off and have sex with people for money are playing D&D. I want to watch that.
That's a spectacle. And people love spectacles.
Well, yeah, I mean that's.
Yeah, so and the other thing too is comments like, we wouldn't put stars in the show to try to impress board gamers. That's not the point of that at all. The idea is to be able to sell more board games. So you put stars on the show so that they are reaching an audience that never ever would ever know about any of these games, and then their eyes are opened up to what's going on out there. So it's about growing the hobby and actually making some of these people with a game who are working a job and trying to do it full time, killing themselves, putting out games so they can actually achieve their dream. At least that's what it would be about for me. I don't know about whoever else does it that way, but you learn to promote and make things happen so that people can actually make a living. That's what it's about. Was it we were talking the other day about how Stephen Bonacore is finally going to be able to leave his full-time position so he can focus fully on Stronghold now?
Yeah, I think he just announced that, right?
Right. So I mean, how long has he been doing that, killing himself trying to run that?
10 years.
Yeah. Right. So.
No, it's hard to make a buck in the board game world.
He's never given me the impression that he's a stupid man or not a decent businessman. So I don't think he's probably wasting a whole lot of money.
That is a weird thing too. I mean, it's just like, well, it's like you and I. David, you and I had that discussion about just as far as, the things that we do eating up so much of our time and our lives, and how it's one of those things where it's like we need to. There's a prioritization that needs to occur, and that's what I mean. And I understand. I can't tell another person how to run their life. I can't tell another person what they need to do as far as their personal how much time they're going to put on their podcasts and what have you. But it drives me crazy. I mean, it does. It really drives me nuts that people are just like, oh yeah, I worked for 35 hours on this video that I made for this game that I did. Oh, it's like great, and then they're like, and then these are the same people that ask me, it's like, oh man, I don't get any followers, I don't get any views, what do I do? And I'm like, adjust your expectations.
Right.
Just because
I don't know what the right answer to that is. It's like Tom is where he is because he's been doing it for 15 years.
Right.
And I'll give Tom this. He has consistently changed himself, and in some even small ways, but he's just always consistently kind of just changed what he did too.
Yeah, he went from text to video to live show now. No,
I enjoy Tom as a person, and I mean, I don't watch a lot of videos because I don't have time to, but I mean, I enjoy Tom a great deal, and I think, and kudos to him for being able to be successful at what he does. And it's just, it's weird. I think people get into this media part of the board game idea thinking that, oh, all I got to do is just come up with a couple of walkthrough videos, and people are just gonna
you got to come up with a couple of walkthrough videos for one a week for 5 years straight.
Right. And make sure it's a walkthrough video for a game that is huge.
Oh, well, pick your targets too, right?
PDG
will tell you what to pick. Go to look at the hotness list and pick those targets.
Right, and don't expect the companies to be sending you games to do that either.
No, you gotta pay your own way for a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
And people just are.
But like you said, David, that's a hobby versus a business, right?
Right. Right, and I run a business. Other people run a hobby, so I get paid for what I do.
And the thing is that people eventually that's why they get burned out. It's just because, oh well, I don't even get I don't get interaction with the people out there. I don't get comments. I don't get and it's just and I see that Tom will get 50 comments alone on his YouTube, every single video on his YouTube channel. Well, yeah, I mean. Because they feel like they know Tom, Right. I mean, it's just there's a familiarity there as well, and I don't know.
The formula is not hard. It just takes a lot of work and a lot of time.
Patience is key in anything.
Well, and I've had people say I've been doing it for 2 years, and I'm just
that's not enough. Yeah, exactly.
It's I've been doing it for 10. So okay, so we'll come back to you at 10, and if you don't have 10,000 subscribers, then maybe you have a problem.
Well, I mean, Tom gives some of those guys a boost by doing that Dice Tower thing where people can join up there and be a part of that, and that helps people get some views and do whatever too. So that's a nice little bonus for people who do that. But the other thing is we've gotten pretty cliquey. I think we've gotten pretty cliquey, and nobody's really sharing the wealth, so to speak. But if you band together with a good group of people and you're consistent, you stick with it, you will develop your own audience over time. Everybody wants instant gratification and think that if they create content that they're automatically going to get followers, and that just isn't the way it works. Number one, your content has got to be good. It can't just be crap, and it can't just be everything that everybody else is already doing. You got to find holes and pockets and niches, and really concentrate on those and make it your own.
You gotta. I'm a newbie for sure, but we found promoting the hell out of it is where we're getting a ton of our new subscribers. I mean,
yeah, you can't just put it into the ether too. You
can't just build it.
And you gotta react to people, right? You have to engage.
But you had one advantage though, David, because Jeremy already.
Yeah, Jeremy
had a good start.
Well, he used the existing channel.
Yeah. He used the existing channel, but I mean, I think we've gotten like 3,000 in the last month and a half.
Yeah, but that's not normal in any way, shape, or form.
Your quality out of the gate.
No, I know.
Average.
Yeah, that's not normal in any way, shape, or form. I mean, Jeremy had a pre-built audience, but it was just a matter of reminding people that he's out there. But it also helped that he took the time and the expense to build that set. And
did something different with it.
Yeah. I mean, that was a smart move, and for people who want to do that, that's great. That's one way of seriously helping the hobby.
So just build a set, put a bunch of games on a table. I don't know. I think people need to come up with their own formula, really.
Well, and I'm talking about it in the comments here, but like an idea I've always wanted to do, and like this is something maybe I will do, is that I would love to record like a D&D session. And I'd like to do that on a consistent basis. And we've tinkered a little bit with like doing it live with people in a Google Hangout, but that's so damn tough getting like the same 4 or 5 people there.
But I think especially with role-playing game, you've got to capture the experience, and that's hard to do when everybody's in a different room.
Exactly, and so like I've always said like, what if I set up like a live stream? If I did set up a camera, set up a couple of cameras, so there was like one like above the table and one that kind of like just was off to like the side and kind of showing everybody or kind of like was behind me. So like if I was running it as the dungeon master, it was like.
Geek and Sundry has a full-time Twitch channel now. They do role-playing games on there all the time.
Do they?
Yeah, well, Will Wheaton did one, and then
check it out.
There's a new one on Geek and Sundry too, and even I don't even know if it's Geek and Sundry, but Chris Hardwick is on one now too.
Oh, really?
I mean, I think the key there is the reason I'd watch that, and the reason I've watched that one is that they're entertaining. I mean, these are entertainers who are doing it.
Well, and that was going to be my point earlier, is that the quickest and easiest way to get popular with any type of content is to be a personality. And if you don't have a personality, you've already lost the game. So if you can't be entertaining, then you've already lost. And Lance and I talked about this with Lance the other day, and I've been saying the last couple of years that within the next 3 to 5 years, most of us will be obsolete because it will all be stars who do all the marketing for board games, because somebody will see the money and they'll start paying the stars to do this, and then the Tom Bassels, the Rodneys, the Rottos, the Lances, and whatever, we won't have much of a job anymore because they're going to go straight to the stars, and the stars are going to carry the bulk of the weight. So, personality. You'll still have reviewers, but it won't be.
We'll leak out our niches, right?
Yeah, you still have. Tom won't be the king of the whatever anymore. When somebody else shows up at Gen Con and they've got their own show and they're already a star, that's who they'll be lining up to talk to.
I don't disagree with if that happens, but I think we'd see that. I mean, that would have certainly already happened in the video game space.
They kind of did it They kind of did it.
The biggest YouTubers, though, are still YouTubers.
There are plenty of B and C level stars that are in the video game industry who are making lots of money on video game channels. Absolutely.
Yeah, but they're not pushing PewDiePie or any of those guys out of the way.
No, because they still make more money doing the other thing. They do this as extra money when they don't have projects coming up. So you're not gonna kick your cash cow out the door because you've got this popular video game blog that's making you a quarter of what your normal work does. So
I thought we were on the cusp of that with a couple years back. Will Wheaton was doing some kind of like Play with the Stars or tabletop like event. There was that a couple years ago at Gen Con, but I think it kind of faded away. So.
Yeah, they did that.
Well, I mean, there's like 3 or 4 people out there that are like famous that really like RPGs. Like Vin Diesel supposedly loves D&D. Like, still plays it regularly.
Yep.
Still, and so like if you actually got, like a Vin Diesel and like 3 other people, like and just like get Patton Oswalt. Like Patton Oswalt is a huge D&D player,
Right, but you're talking about those are A-list type people.
Well, no, I'm serious. But if you had an A-list show like that, I mean,
yeah.
Well, you spend that kind of money.
But first of all,
Wizards could afford it. Wizards could afford it.
Wizards could afford it totally.
They're not it.
And then you did like a thing, and then and it was a reality TV show kind of thing where it was like, like you watched it and people reacted and they did their thing and what have you. I mean, that would be. I mean, if you put it on the right channel, whatever, like, some geek channel that people would like, go to like FX or something, and have it on there.
YouTube is fine.
It would be great, but I mean, I don't think. This is just me, but I don't think if you had people like that and they're like, oh, it's going to be like a YouTube stream, they'd be like, yeah, this has got to be on TV or something.
Right. This is why I always tell people when they're asking me, it's like, well, if we don't do absolutely perfect video production for these people, they won't do it because it ruins their image and it makes them look bad. And they're more critical of that than anything. If you've worked yourself to that level, their managers won't let them do it, their PR people won't let them do it, nobody will let them do it. So this is why, when I tell people, it's like, if you want me to go out and do this kind of stuff, we got to pay for it. We can't half-ass it. I can't use, middle of the road DSLR cameras, and I can't use crappy, lenses and everything. Everything's got to be top of the line, and the post production especially has got to be top of the line. Otherwise, they just will not do it. I couldn't bring them in here into my house and film them around this table. It won't happen.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, if I can't get, I mean, I've been doing the music industry a long time and managed quite a few artists. If I can't get them to not complain about their green room, without throwing a fit, there's no way in hell they're going to walk onto a crappy ass set where they're being filmed. They're just not.
Well, guys, I gotta head out.
I was gonna say,
I'm not here for the long haul. I have a 7 a.m. floor appointment.
I think we're wrapping up soon anyway.
Oh, are you wrapping up? If you don't wrap up in the next 10 minutes, I have to sign off.
Oh my gosh, it's 1:20. Yes.
Yeah, it's getting late, and I still.
I didn't want to end it though. You guys could still keep going.
No, that's okay. We'll just blame it on you. You can be the spokesman. Yeah, totally. No, good talk about like stuff. Like actually, we weren't just nannering on about like who we hate, which was weird.
Game of Thrones or something.
Dude, let me talk to you about my recent. How excited are you for the last episode of the Night Of?
I was super excited.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be on the cruise, so I won't be able to watch it until I get back.
Oh, wow. I'm going to be able to like direct message you via tweet exactly what happens.
Please don't. Lance, Spoiler, Mikester. Your nickname's going to be Spoiler.
How big do you think is the fact that basically they showed that the video camera was on them in the holding cell? I mean, that's going to come back and haunt them.
Oh, I don't like to look at the next episode.
Well, no, it happened in the episode. It showed actually. The fact that the Night Of, because she goes and talks to Naz and they kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they actually show that like the camera was on him or whatever.
Oh, was there a camera? I don't remember.
Yeah,
that. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's gonna come back and bite him up.
I don't watch when I watch those shows. I don't watch it fully with 100% attention. I watch it kind of like.
Do you think he did it, or do you think it's like, or do you think it was the stepfather? Or?
Oh, well, they've got so many people who could have done it now. They've got a couple different people, right? They have that weird, like, the two guys who, like, were
Good
walking
night,
on the street.
David, or David 1 or 2, whichever. David Way Brigitte.
So
Good night.
David gets to go, but I have to hang on.
Well,
Like,
'cause
I
I asked you a direct question.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
go too.
I want to avoid spoilers. I haven't watched the show yet.
okay, well,
I don't even know
should
what
stop
the show
talking
is.
about it then.
Good night.
But there's definitely plenty of suspects.
Good night, David.
Yeah, I'm. I can't decide. I mean, I just like I would they try to surprise us and actually have it turn out that like
He really did it.
he did it anyway? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just
I don't think so. There may be like some kind of weird roundabout thing though that. I mean, do we know how many seasons this show has?
it's only one. It's
It's wrapped up in the next season.
Yeah,
in the next episode?
it's
completely wrapped up.
And then the idea is that they might come back with a second season that is about just another case that would have John Turturro as the character.
I have no idea what show you're talking about.
It's called The Night of. It's like an 8-episode show on HBO about basically the very first episode is this guy, this kid basically, in college gets invited out to this party and he can't get there. He doesn't have a ride, so he borrows his dad's taxi.
He steals his dad's.
But yeah, he steals his dad's taxi cab. His dad's sleeping, so he goes inside. He thinks he's just going to drive there and drive back. But anyway, because it's a taxi, this girl gets in his cab, and he ends up talking to this girl for a while. And then he just forgets about going to the party, and he and her just start like driving around, and they start having a few drinks. They do some drugs, and they go back to her home. And then he passes out, and he wakes up in the kitchen. And when he goes upstairs to like get the keys and head home, he realizes that she's been stabbed to death.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so
like slaughtered.
like just
Badly.
22 stab wounds, blood everywhere, kind of thing. And just without this is all the first episode.
It's a pretty intricate crime drama, which has got a lot of cool stuff that hasn't really been done before.
And so of course he does all the wrong things. He runs away. It's really early in the morning. He jumps into his and then for like some ridiculous reason he brings the knife with him, and he just basically panics and does all the wrong decisions. And as he's driving away, he gets pulled over because he goes down the wrong way on a one-way. And then he gets pulled over, and they figure out that he was there, and he's basically he's a dead ringer. I mean, he's got the blood all over him, he's got the knife on him, everything else.
Yeah, they catch him 5 minutes after the thing happens. It's like,
yeah,
he's crazy unlucky.
Yeah, so he's he's his family's poor. They basically they impound his dad's cab so they can't even work. Because of the fact that
that's an actual interesting side plot, by the way.
Yeah, that is a really cool side.
I really like the actors playing those guys.
Yeah,
they're very good. The father is very good.
Well, it's like the whole thing with the medallion. I mean, it's like I didn't even know what that was until I found out what a taxi cab medallion.
That's why Uber is under attack by the taxi cab companies.
Because the whole idea is you purchase a medallion that allows you to actually run a taxi cab. And they cost a ridiculous amount of money, and so nobody can really afford them, so they always they split the cost up. Either a company buys it, and then you pay the company for the right to have it, and so it's kind of loaned out, or you have several people that purchase it together, right. and they use it for that purpose. And anyway, so it's a combination of a lot of just really bad luck, wrong place, wrong time kind of situations, and John Turturro plays this ambulance chasing type lawyer who originally sees this guy Nazir, the kid, as being basically quick money in and out. And then he realizes there's a lot more to the story going on. He starts investigating it on his own, and because the cops just basically figure this is the guy, and they don't bother looking any further into the situation. And so he starts investigating it, and he starts finding all of these other people that possibly had a reason to kill her. and so it's pretty cool. So
I can't see how they wrap it up in one more episode. There's too many things.
Well, that's just it. I mean,
maybe it's a season 2 kind of thing.
Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know.
By the way, the cheapest medallion that I just Googled for is $625,000.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I had never known. I had never known that that's how those things worked.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I just figured
and
it was
it's
like
tied to a car too, right? Like they tied it to a car.
Yeah. So, and I always just assumed it was like taxi cab companies. You just had a taxi and you just had one.
Yeah.
You know.
You have
I mean,
a car and you can run a taxi. No.
Yeah, no, it's a racket, so to speak. You know, just
well, that's why Uber is so disruptive, right?
Well, I mean,
hey, I have to go for real.
Okay. Oh, geez, I'm so sorry. So,
are you guys gonna hang?
No.
We'll get. I gotta get it.
There's a guy coming to fix my floor tomorrow at 7 a.m. It's so early for me.
What'd you do to your floor? I mean, is that the floor with the $100 bills that you walk on? A few of them like.
Yeah, it's my marble gold laden.
Where the servants aren't allowed in that room, right? No, all right. Well, no, I think David and I are going to talk about a quick thing off air, but
okay.
But anyway, Scott, thanks for being on. I appreciate it. For all of you who watched this evening, go ahead and check out David Lowery's YouTube channel. What is it called?
It's just Club Panasai. Actually, I think it's youtube.com/David Lowery. If I'm right, if I remember.
There you go. Check out. He does quality work, way better than I do, for board games and all that other kinds of stuff. Scott Alden runs some sort of website you might have heard of.
Oh, we got a Kickstarter going on too. You can plug that.
Oh yeah, you gotta. So if you can't make, if you
search for BGG on Kickstarter.
So if the incredibly poor planning for BGG Con screwed you out of a way to go to that convention, the $80 million man has made it possible for you to still
go
to
a
Dallas.
little shindig beforehand.
Yes, so check that out. Where should they go if they want to find out about that? Where should they go?
Just go to Kickstarter, search for BGG.
Very good.
BGG PRE Con, whatever.
Thanks again to Keith for being on. Everybody wish Barry to get better. I hope.
Get better, Barry.
Get better, Barry. And thank you for Gary and Jeremy and that other David for Man vs. Meeple for being on and chatting. So, all right, thanks everybody for watching live. Especially we appreciate all you live listeners. You guys are awesome.
Definitely.
So and the people that are after the fact, you're still awesome, but you're not as awesome as the people that stay up until 12:30 at night to watch us. So, all right, good night.
Good night. Bye.